Recording. Okay, I want to welcome everybody to the Transgender Coalition. Today's date is 1/6 of 2022. This meeting is very special and near and dear to my heart because I usually don't take the time to record any of our meetings, but I've got a great group of girls here that are ready to talk about what is on a lot of girls' minds, and that is GRS. Now, everybody knows that GRS means gender reassignment surgery. So I've got girls from different ages here. I've got the youngest. I've got a girl named Angel. I've got the oldest, Charlene. And then I've got girls in between that have had their surgeries. Charlene had hers when she was 68. So, I mean, I've got girls that have had robotic surgery, and I've got girls that was only in the operating table for 2.5 hours getting the bottom surgery done. So tonight I'm going to ask the questions, and I really all hope you enjoy this. This is going to be educational. I know when I was starting, I didn't want GRS, and now I can't get it off my mind. This is the one thing that I really want. And I know there's a lot of girls that are out there that, if that's not in this group right now, that are sitting on the fence. And if this helps you in any way, just like the girls that are in the group, if this helps you in any way to help shed some light on what you're going to experience when you go through GRS, because this is what happened. Doctors do not tell you what's going to happen. You're not going to find out what you're going to experience until you go through the surgery. And they're not going to, so this is a way you're going to get a firsthand opportunity to find out what these girls went through, the preparation and everything else, because there's a lot of rules for us to get gender reassignment surgery, and there's a lot of hoops we have to jump through. And so I'm going to start. I'm going to introduce the panel of girls that I'm going to talk to. I'm going to introduce first the co-host of the Transgender Coalition, and she's also the host of Trans Talk After Dark, is going to be Mrs. Angel Simone Tronco. That's going to be the first person I interview tonight. Wave, Angel, so everybody sees you. Okay. And then after that, I'm going to interview the lovely Miss Elaine Elizabeth Reynolds. She's from Texas. I'm also going to interview the lovely Charlene Coleman, who lives in Salt Lake City, the heart of Mormontown, believe it or not. And those are the girls that right now, and of course from New York, I've got Teresa from New York, who was my sister that had the robotic surgery. So I've got a good cast of girls that have decided that they want to help you, and they want to help you decide on what's this. So my first question is to Angel. Angel, when did you decide that it was time for you to get the lovely gender reassignment surgery that, we all dream about? When was the final point for you saying, I got to do this?
Well, at the time, it was probably about, I would say, between 2016 and 2017. I was working for Whole Foods Market at the time. I had the insurance that they had provided through United Healthcare. And for a while there before, well, actually at the beginning of my transition, I didn't think that I wanted it. But then I started to think more and wasn't really sure. But the more I looked into myself inside and dug through my head, dug through my heart, the more I felt that I wanted it. And it was about that time between 2016 and 2017 that I decided that, yes, this is what's right for me. And I began doing my homework and doing my research to find out what all the surgery entailed and what I needed to be ready for, both mentally and physically, and of course also financially.
Okay. Zara Khan, you have a question?
Yes, if we're talking about sexual reassignment surgery, you'll probably want to include me at some point as well, because I've had it and a revision to it.
Oh, okay, then you're welcome. I will interview you too. So put your hand down and you're gonna get hit too. So there you go. So we have another girl that I didn't know. So that's good. Angel, you now have co-host capabilities. So my question is, when you decided to do this and it was financially ready for you, was there a period in your life where you before the surgery that did you have any doubt? Did you think that you were going to miss the part that was attached to you all those years? And was this something that was really playing in your head? Did you have a lot of back and forth? Is this something I really want to do? Is this something I don't want to do? What was the process to say, damn it, this is what I want to do?
Well, I mean, wondering if I was going to miss it and wondering if it was really right for me. Well, that was back then, 2016, 2017. But from the point that I knew that I was financially ready, I mean, I have good insurance, so I didn't have to pay for it. My insurance paid for it all. So financially, yes, I'm good on that part as far as getting it covered. I don't have to worry about that. But then you also have to consider, the time that you're going to spend off work. Well, because I work for a good company, I have time off pay. I have sick leave. I have medical leave. I have holiday pay. I have short-term and long-term disability. So the only thing that's not really covered financially is all the extra hours, because I was working 12 to 16 hours a day. And I was doing that pretty much 5 days a week. And I'm only scheduled for 40 hours a week. All the extra hours that I was picking up was just overtime or picking up hours from my coworkers. That's not covered. So the only part that's actually covered that I'm guaranteed to have a paycheck for is my straight 40 hours a week. So until I can get back to work and start working all these extra hours again, I'm just watching every penny. But it's not impossible. It's definitely doable. But from the moment that I knew that I had the insurance that I needed, the coverage that I needed, and knew that my paycheck, for the most part, weren't really going to be affected, I was all in. At no point ever did I decide, ooh, I don't know, I'm kind of nervous. How am I going to feel after the fact? No, never.
Okay. Thank you. That was anybody got any questions for Angel? Okay. My next question is, I'm going to put us out to Zericon, since you said that you had your surgery. Now, honey, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 45.
Okay, when did you have the surgery?
February 17th of 2021.
Okay, so it's still fairly new on you. It's about a year old?
Mhm.
Okay. You heard the questions that I asked Angel. What was your thought process on when did you decide that, this is what you really wanted to do? You knew this was going to define you as a woman.
Well, there's a story. I'll try not to take up too much time, but there's a story that needs to be told with this and how I got to the surgery.
Please share.
So the most important thing that a transgender woman can do is to get rid of her testicles. You want that so you can get off of any kind of hormone replacement, testosterone blocker stuff like spirolactone, deuterosteride, all those things for a variety of reasons. The first and foremost is if you have any testosterone in your body, it's going to inhibit and block the effects of estrogen. So it's counterproductive to what you're trying to do. You can also have interactions with other medications. I actually did have one with lisinopril and spirolactone. They're both potassium sparing medications. that happened around also happened around February of 2020, not 2021, but 2020.
Okay.
I almost had complete kidney failure because of that interaction. So that's another detail. You want to not have to take them because you can have interactions. You can also become immune to them eventually. Your body can develop immunities to a variety of unnatural drugs, which of course can hurt you in that way. So, going into taking hormone replacement therapy, I knew the clock was ticking on taking spirolactone. I started at 200 milligrams of spirolactone, and I continued to take it right up until February of 2021. But initially, my decision wasn't necessarily to go with penile inversion vaginoplasty, which is what I got. It was to get an orchiectomy. And I actually went to a local urology center to look into that. And long story short, they screwed me over on pricing and just gave me the runaround. So for a while, the idea of getting any kind of surgery went dormant, which was okay at the time because I was planning on saving up money. At the time, I was making around $3,500 to $3,000 on eBay on a monthly basis, just selling stuff off of demo stuff, which in March went completely to zero because Amazon set up a bot system to essentially kill the demo scene. So by the time I get to March, not only have my plans of getting orchiectomy failed, but also a significant portion of our income failed as well. And I was desperate. By the time October had rolled around and my wife had gotten a job again, I had already made like 9 separate attempts to remove my testicles with a elastrator and kitchen scissors. For those who don't know, elastrator is what they use on farm animals to get rid of the testicles. So I was more than a little interested in getting rid of them. Thankfully, what happened around that time is I switched insurance. I had already had the prep work done for Vanderbilt. I was keeping the prep work for Vanderbilt moving because I wanted that to be done in case my finances changed. But 2 things happened around October of 2020, in that I got on different insurance. I got Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, and my wife got a job. So by the time February 17th had rolled around, I had already made the decision to get penile inversion vaginoplasty, and I can afford it. It was about $6,000 that I had to pay, but I could afford it at that point because we had the finances again. The finances that disappeared in March reappeared in October, and especially the better insurance helped a lot. When I saw the invoice of what it would cost, like out of pocket, it was like something like $120,000, but with insurance it was like $6,000. So a significant difference in terms of cost. I went for penile inversion vaginoplasty instead of orchiectomy because one of the things that happened during my journey is I lost a lot of weight. I didn't initially have bottom dysphoria, but that was because I couldn't see my bottom. I was too fat. I weighed 368 pounds, and I got down to 177. And now that I could see the thing, I really, really wanted to get rid of it, especially my testicles, because of what I mentioned earlier. That's the most important thing a transgender woman can do. Get rid of your testicles so you can just be on estrogen. Don't have to worry about testosterone at all. But it really bothered me to see any of that down there. So I went for what, from my reading anyway, is the most invasive surgery you can get, penile inversion vaginoplasty. And I got that on February 17th. Stayed in Vanderbilt Hospital for about 5 days. 17th through the 22nd is when they released me. And it was, recovery was something. They send you home with a catheter, and that's all kinds of fun, having to drag that thing around, empty it. Now, to pause here for a moment, a person's recovery from any of these surgeries will vary depending on the person and the skill of the surgeon and, health, a bunch of other things. I'm sure we can list all kinds of variables. For myself, the arduousness of the recovery was not based on pain. I know I've seen and heard other people say that it hurts to recover, but weirdly enough, I haven't had any pain with any of my surgeries, and I've had the penile virgin vaginoplasty, the revision for that on September 30th, and then breast augmentation on the 6th, no pain. I'm pretty sure I have nerve damage. So your experiences with pain will vary, but discomfort may not. I'm in a 14x16 room. I knew that I would be fairly incapacitated. I would not be able to get up and move about a lot. And sitting is definitely a problem. You do not want to sit after getting any kind of bottom surgery until you're fully healed at least. So the only positions I could take is standing and lying on my back for a long time. So I was confined to this 14x16 room from essentially when I got back on February 22nd to, I want to say, the end of April. So a really long time to be confined in a tiny little room. And pretty much the only thing I was able to do is work. I work at home. I had a wall mount computer set up right over here. It's not there anymore, but I would have that so it would be facing down on me, so I can just work while lying on my back. And on my back and standing up were pretty much the only positions I had. I couldn't go outside the house because I wasn't fully healed yet. And so there was that. Now I mentioned revision surgery, which is not uncommon, but mine was not cosmetic, it was functional. I didn't really care much about how much it looked like, just so long as it worked properly. The problem with my vaginoplasty is that it was functional. It's not like anything didn't work, but there was significant webbing. So if we're looking at my vagina, which I can't show on camera, but if we're looking at my vagina, here would be my clitoris, here would be my urethra, and then my vaginal opening. At the time that they did the surgery, it was thought that it was just swelling. And indeed, there's a lot of swelling with any given surgery. I didn't have pain, but it had a lot of swelling. So they wanted to wait a little, and I wanted to wait a little before being in surgery again. But when the swelling went down, a problem appeared. So clitoris, urethra, vaginal opening, there was webbing, like a bit of flesh going from here to here that was covering up my urethra and my vaginal opening. So to get into my vaginal opening, you had to crowbar your way into it. Not very comfortable with dilators, because you had to insert it at like a 45-degree angle, then push down and then insert. Intercourse was possible, very hard and not comfortable for either party. Still tried it. May 9th. Got split open, healed from that, but not comfortable at all. So eventually revision surgery. And that process was fairly simple. It was an outpatient thing, just like my breast augmentation. I went in, they lasered off the flesh, and now everything's perfect. As perfect as it can be anyway. So your results may vary. I haven't had any pain with any of my surgeries. again, I do really think I have nerve damage, which is why I'm not experiencing the pain that others describe. So it's not a brag. I think I have something that's serious I should probably look into at some point.
Okay.
But lots of discomfort,
Okay.
especially when I was recovering from the initial vaginoplasty. That was pretty hard. Prior to my transitioning, I didn't really get out much because I didn't want to be out in public. But having a lot of out time as myself, just being a woman, leading up to that surgery, then being confined to this room for about over 2.5 months was really hard. Plus the recovery was pretty difficult as well. So you have to be prepared. I didn't initially have the wall mount for my computer because one of you mentioned that the doctors don't quite know what they're talking about in terms of some of the things they tell you. What they had told me is that sitting would not be a problem. Sitting was very much a problem. In fact, I think I popped a few stitches the first time I tried. So I didn't have the wall mount initially. When I put in the wall mount, I was still bleeding and dripping fluids, screwing that thing into the wall because there is no way I could keep my job and sit at the same time. So a difficult recovery for me at least, but no pain.
Okay.
So results may vary. I have no regrets.
Good.
I was so happy to get it, all of my surgeries, and I very much look forward towards my final one, voice surgery.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. Elaine, you had a question, sweetie. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a question for Zahara. You said lisinopril and spironolactone. You were on both of those?
Yeah, both of, okay, here's
How
another
long?
really important detail. Doctors may not always catch drug interactions, which is why I'm a do-it-yourself advocate, because you need to be very educated about the stuff that you're taking. The doctors didn't catch the interaction. We were getting the blood test results back, and it was like kidney failure.
Right.
Looking
How
forward
long
to
were
a
you
kidney
on
transplant.
both drugs? How long were you on both drugs?
2019 to when we figured out about 8 months. 8 months, probably
All
longer.
right. Okay. I've been on lisinopril for years, like maybe decade or so.
Mhm.
And I was on spironolactone for 4 years before I had my GRS. I had no issue at all. That's why I was asking how long were you on. But when I did go in for my pre-op, the doctor said, he said, how long were you on? How long have you been on Spiro? And I said, 4 years. He said, it's time to get off.
What was the dose?
On the Spiro,
Yeah.
50 milligram total is 225 a day.
Okay, I was
And
taking
the,
200.
Good God. The lisinopril was 20 a day.
Yeah. If you're taking that low of a spirolactone, it may not have that big of an interaction with lisinopril.
Yeah, it did.
But
That's why that's what I was asking.
Yeah, I was taking 200. Also, please, when we talk about medication during this recording, mention milligrams, because that's really important. And also, let's be clear, results vary when it comes to hormone replacement therapy and the various drugs
Right. Oh
associated.
yeah, everybody's different.
So, I mean, that could just be me, but my point is that I had that interaction. Nobody caught it. I had to
Right.
go on the internet and Google some stuff and find out that interaction existed. As soon as I stopped taking lisinopril, my kidneys fully recovered.
Thank God for Google, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, I already said a bunch of stuff, but I would say this one more thing. Don't rely on your doctor to know everything, because they don't, and they're human. They will miss stuff just as much as you can. So it's important to be your own advocate in any medication you take, surgery, etc., because missing something like that can cost your life, because
Yep.
it almost cost mine. So,
And this is why I decided to do this tonight for this very reason, because we somehow, and you girls could agree with me or disagree that have had the surgery, we walk in this with blinders. Because really is there any information? My question is to all of you, is there any information out there about the GRS surgery or what we're going to go through? Any of you girls want to answer that? Is there anything? Go ahead, Charlene.
Yes, there is. I was extremely lucky because I met a group of girls before I had the vaginoplasty that had it. One of them was Nikki. You know, she and I are good friends.
Right, okay.
And she gave me a lot of information. In fact, she even showed me what the results are going to be. So I
Okay,
wouldn't be surprised. She expected, you know, like as far as bruising, she recommended getting off processed foods, trying to cut my salt intake as low as I could and stuff. And I was extremely lucky because I went into it actually with almost full knowledge of exactly what was going to happen. And the only thing you've got to go for is you hope it goes good. That's all.
okay,
And one of the things that the surgeon told me, and he did my breast augmentation, and I had 6 doctors work on me. I was an experiment. And he was the cosmetic surgeon that finishes up. And he told me to understand that don't be surprised if you may need some revisions, because when he gets around to it, when everybody's done, you're so swollen and stuff, he can only make, from his own experience, best guess at the stitching he's going to have to do and everything else. So he said that don't be surprised. You may want larger lips, you may want smaller lips, you may want, you know, a number of things. I was extremely lucky, and I think they were very surprised at how well I healed, how good it looked, and everything else. For me, my transition was almost picture perfect. Everything went exactly like it should have gone.
okay. Very good. Angel, go ahead. Your question, honey.
Yeah, so there is plenty of information out there. There's a lot of information, in fact, but is there enough? No, there's not enough. Because you just can't know everything, and you can't predict everything. You know, it's just like with any medications out there on the market. You can do all the research you want on them, and you can look at all the benefits of medication. You can look at all the side effects of medication. And it says, these are possible benefits. These are possible side effects. Well, you don't know how your body's going to react to those medications. And so you don't know exactly which benefits you're going to experience and which side effects you're going to experience. So the same is true with surgery. You
Angel,
have to factor in the human part of the equation, and things are going to happen. And you might have a picture perfect outcome from your surgery. You might have the picture perfect recovery from your surgery, but then again, you may not.
Right,
You may have some rocky road to go down.
exactly.
You may have some rocky road when you're on the operating table. You may have some rocky road when you're laying in bed recovering. You just don't know, and you have to play it by ear and take it one step at a time.
Thank you. Zarikon.
yeah, just to add to that, I mentioned that I got down to 177. I'm in the best shape I've been since high school.
Okay,
I do like 2 miles every day at 4 miles per hour, so 30 minutes.
okay,
Every day in the morning, I do 50 ab crunches. I'm on a really good diet. Recovering from my vaginoplasty still wipe me out.
okay.
So, I mean, just be really prepared to not move a lot.
Okay, very good. Okay, so my question on that was, and I'm glad you girls enlightened me about there being information. For those of you that are just joining us, we're talking about gender reassignment surgery, and we're all the different aspects of it. I got different girls here. Now, all the girls, I understand right now, you all have depth, correct? You all have canals.
Yeah.
Okay. So nobody nobody here has no depth, because the person I was counting on to come on to talk about it, yeah, she's afraid of the camera. And she's saying, okay, she just sent me a message saying, thank you, Jody. I'm going to pass beside you. I have plenty of people in there. I don't want the world to know my private business. So I'm not going to be able to use her as far as sharing about what no depth is. But for those of you that don't know, there are two different. You could either have a canal, which you could be penetrated. Yeah, full depth. You could be penetrated and made love to like a woman. Or you have zero, which you cannot be, you pretty much just got the box without the package. So pretty,
Right.
so if I could keep it that clean. Zarakan, and then Allison. Go ahead, honey.
All right. What I will add to any kind of bottom surgery is that just get the surgery that suits you best. I
Exactly.
mean, it's not necessary to go all the way with vaginoplasty. I mean, penile inversion vaginoplasty like I did. I mean, my principal concern had always been just getting rid of my testicles.
Mhm.
If I could do it over again, I may just get zero depth myself.
Okay.
Because most of the sexual intercourse that I've had has been anal.
Okay.
Because every time again, results may vary because of the surgeon, your recovery, and all that stuff. Every time we've tried to use my vagina, it's broken. This last time it split pretty bad.
Okay.
And to be honest, I enjoy the anal more because I can feel more. And results may vary. So, but I mean, something else to consider is something that I've heard said at least, is that cisgender women don't really feel much in terms of intercourse either. They just mostly feel pressure. So when it comes to sexually satisfying a woman or one of us, it's mostly going to be tongue work and possibly anal, depending on your preference, because I don't really feel much down there. So
Got you.
I don't either.
it's not necessary to go all the way with penile inversion vaginoplasty. That's just something I got because I wanted to not exclude myself from all the options. One of my reasons for getting the most is because insurance deductibles. I don't have a lot of resources at my disposal. It just happens that things lined up to allow me to do the things that I wanted to do. And I'm eternally grateful to Blue Cross Blue Shield and Vanderbilt for everything they made possible in 2021.
Amen.
Without their assistance, I'd probably still be in this room with an illustrator and a pair of kitchen scissors.
Well, I'm glad you didn't go that route. Thank you.
But I mean, so I got it because I realized that it is a time thing where if you don't get it within a certain amount of time, your deductible resets. And I figured, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do as much of it as I possibly can. So that
Gotcha.
later on, if I do want to have vaginal intercourse, it won't be something like, well, now I have to go back into surgery to get a canal. So something to think about as well. I mean, you don't have to get the canal, but I would also suggest really thinking about doing that anyway if you're going to do a vaginoplasty, just so you have options, just so you can say afterwards, well, I may not use it very often, but if I want to, it's there.
I like that idea. Well, that's where I'm going. I'm going full canal. Allison, you had your hand up. Allison, Charlene, then Angel. Allison is going to say, she gave me the 1 second sign. She's doing something. Okay. There you go, sweetie. Hi, Allison. Haven't seen you in a while, girlfriend. Welcome back.
How are you? Thank you.
I missed you, girl. How else? How are you?
I've been busy as shit, to
Got
say the
you.
least.
Okay, got you, but go
Sorry
ahead
about
with your
that for the
question.
previous. My dog decided that for Christmas we ended up, well, I should say Thanksgiving, but for Christmas area, we ended up getting a puppy and now he likes to chew on every damn thing that's behind me when I'm not watching.
Right, okay.
Doesn't matter what it is.
Go ahead with
Anywho.
your, go ahead with your question.
Actually, it wasn't a question. It was more a medical revision. There's actually 4 types of vaginoplasty that are around and that are actually well documented. The most common are the 2 that everybody is actually really talking about right now, which is penile inversion, number 1, and number 2, non-penile inversion. But there are 2 subjugate close ones that are very similar to it that other surgeons do offer. And a lot of people don't know about those. So the documentation is out there. You just have to know where to look. Mary
Okay.
Mayo, like the Mary Mayo Clinic, a really great resource for documentation. U of M Flint, or not U of M Flint, but U of M Ann Arbor Hospital in co-allegiance with, what is it? Henry Ford Medical in Detroit. Really
Okay.
great repository for information. And the last one, which is who I've been talking to for the last 2 months since my revision, or not my revision, but my GRS got rescheduled.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I am right now waiting on the final confirmation for my consult to set a date with John Hopkins up in New York with Dr. Rachel Langone. And if you really want to talk to a massive resource and team of experts who've been doing a lot of publication and, publications, John Hopkins is another place to look too. So there are really good resources out there. Just got to know where to dig.
Thank you so much. And do me a favor, Allison, if you would, please put that in the chat. In the little chat, so people that want to document it. And then if we could get it copied, I'd like to put that on the Transgender Coalition public group, because I think that's going to be a great resource for everybody. Thank you so much, sweetheart. I love you and I'm glad you're back. Charlene, go ahead, sweetheart. You've been waiting patiently. Your question.
I actually more along the lines of an answer is that what Jody said is correct. Most girls have absolutely no idea. And in the beginning, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into just with hormones alone. Besides the options for GRS, breast augmentation, then you get to deal with insurance companies, all of that stuff. So she is correct. But this group is a place where people can learn about what really happens, and all the documented information in the world is great and stuff. I've worked with documented information on every airplane that flies and stuff, but it does not replace what people have given me ideas and how it went for them when they did things. So that is a very, very helpful option, and hopefully, and the of us in here that can help, it's not 100% solid answer, but we can tell you personally what we went through and stuff. And I said, in my case, the day I went in for surgery, the doctor had to tell me, and we were concerned. I've had 2 previous prostate operations. That kind of complicates matters a little, especially for a canal. And he told me up front and honest, he said that, you know what, that's why they had a whole team of doctors working on me. They wanted to get all the input they could together, what would be the best approach. And he said that, okay, there's a very, very good possibility. We may not be able to do the canal. And at that point I said, you know what? I trust you guys. You guys have been accurate, been very good up front with me. And I said, do the best you can. And that's exactly what I'll have to settle with and stuff. And I was prepared for that. But I will say that in my case, when I went in, if they would have told me there's only a 50-50 chance you're going to live, I still would have said, do it. Go for it.
I think most of us would. And here's the thing, right? And Charlie, I'm going to be interviewing you very shortly. Charlene right now is the oldest one in the group that's had her surgery. So, and you're welcome anytime. But Angel, you had your hand up, girlfriend. Go ahead, honey.
Yeah, it's more of a comment on something I heard. As far as the sexual aspect, post bottom surgery,
Mm-hmm.
even for trial and error, finding out what you like and what you don't like, and you can't really compare a transgender vagina to, well, a transgender female to be more specific. You can't really compare our vagina to that of a cisgender woman. And
Right.
I personally would not go so far as to say that they don't feel anything, that they only feel pressure, because that's not, I wouldn't consider that actually accurate, because they have nerve endings, they have G spots, and it's a matter of having the right partner that knows how to please a woman and knows how to hit those G spots. Just the same for people that choose to have anal intercourse. There are certain spots that you hit. There are certain nerve endings that you hit that feel pleasurable. And whether you're having anal intercourse or vaginal intercourse, post recovery, it's trial and error. It's waiting for your body to heal, and your healing process may be different from another person who's had their surgery. Everyone's body is different. Everybody reacts to the surgery differently. And once your body has reached that point where it is comfortable to have an exciting sex life, and you are fully comfortable with utilizing your vagina for that purpose, again, it's a matter of knowing how the nerve endings are working in your vagina, and knowing and finding out where your G spots are, so that it doesn't feel just like pressure.
Got you.
It's also a hormonal balance thing that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And as far as Sarka, and I don't know what's yours, how long before, from the time you had surgery to the time you experienced intercourse, can I ask you, how long was it?
Hang on. All right. So,
I'm just asking.
Right. I'm asking him to mute that thing so that the video doesn't get copyright hit.
Like when I stream and you have music off your phone from the games,
That's Twitch,
Yeah.
dear. But anyway,
same thing.
yes, dear. And all right, so it was May 9th. That was the first time that I had intercourse, but that wasn't the only time that I attempted to. I've attempted many times since then.
But how many,
And-
how soon after the surgery?
Well,
Was
I mean,
it
I got
6 weeks, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks?
February 17th was the surgery. First time intercourse was May 9th.
Okay, so that was what, 8 weeks?
That's about 3 months.
3 months.
If I'm
Okay.
counting right.
But actually, if you're transgender, you almost have a better chance of having a vaginal orgasm than a lot of cis women do, the way it's constructed. I don't know if they did it the same way for you as me, and I wasn't informed of this, but they told me that when they form the clitoris, they form it from the head of the penis.
Oh, my clitoris works.
Okay, but on
I can masturbate
mine doesn't
and get
work.
orgasm.
But
That works.
part of the head of the penis was also placed about 1.5 inches inside my canal. So I've got,
Well, here's a good point to pause on then. All right. First off, I'm on the asexual spectrum. I'm a demisexual. So my sexual responsiveness is really low to begin with in comparison to most people. Prior to my vaginoplasty, the only part of my body that could be said to be my erogenous zone wasn't the tip of my penis, wasn't the shaft of my penis. It was like 1 inch below the head. That was the only spot that could get me to the point of orgasm, nothing else. One of my concerns during my recovery was that, do I still have that part? Does it still work? Is there enough of it left to work? I mean, thankfully, the answer is yes. I am able to masturbate to completion whenever I want. But let's again, results may vary. It may vary depending on what is involved in this process and surgery itself. And of course, will definitely vary on you yourself. I'm not that much of a sexual person to begin with. I talk about sex a lot because I'm comfortable with it. I talk about masturbating all day. I don't do that, by the way. But I mean, I talk about sex very comfortably. So it may give people the false impression that I'm doing the sex 24/7. I'm not. I'm not an overly sexual person. I never have been. Prior to getting the surgery, masturbation was more a inconvenient chore I had to do to avoid having my testicles swell up. And sometimes I would forget and they would swell up like the size of grapefruits. It'd be really painful. One of the benefits that I found after getting vaginoplasty is that masturbation is more of a choice now. I'm not compelled to do it or else pay in pain like I had to before. But, you know, just to go back to what I mentioned a moment ago is that I'm not a very sexually responsive person in the first place. So if you have that, if you have a lot of erogenous response, then of course your results will probably be a lot better than mine in terms of pleasure. I mean, I can still get off. My clitoris works. I can rub that and get some fun once a day usually.
That's a very minor part of the whole thing. A lot of
Right.
girls are under the misconception. Sex as a guy, sex as a girl is totally different. Sex is 85% in your head anyway. But for a woman, it takes a lot more conditions to be met in order for them to get aroused. I mean, it's not like a guy, shoot, a guy can look at a picture. He's ready to go in about 15 seconds. Women don't work that way and stuff. But very few people ever tell girls. It's almost as if, you know,
I would
everybody-
say that the results may vary in that too. It's pretty easy to get me off if you know what button to push. You
okay.
just have to push it right. If you're
Okay.
having trouble getting a woman off, maybe ask her how.
Well, no, the point I'm getting at is that so much is in your head and stuff. It's not something that just comes natural either. I mean, it's something that, you know what, if you ever shoot, even young girls play, they masturbate, they find out over a long period of years, what it is they like and they feel like. Guess what? We do this and all of a sudden we're in a race to try and find out, okay, how does this thing work and what do I do and stuff. And there's a lot of conditions that can come up with it too. They wanted me to, they asked me 6 weeks out if I'd had an orgasm yet. I said, no. Well, we need you to try. Okay, I did. And I got to a point where
Your
I could-
homework tonight, Charlene.
yeah. Well, I got to a point where it was quite a while and I still could get almost to the top, but never over until I ran into a girl said she had the same problem and stuff. And she said that what she found out, her doctor recommended, believe it or not, testosterone cream. And I asked the doctor I've got, telling her what's going on. I said, is there a possibility that might work? She agreed. She said, yes. She said, because your testosterone level is extremely low and you do need some testosterone in your system, even women do, to
Since we're-
get your libido going.
Since we're talking about that, my testosterone has for over a year been less than 3. In fact, it's so low, my blood tests can't measure it. It just has less than sign 3.
That's
I
what
can
mine
still
was. Too.
orgasm.
Mine was that way too, and it was too low.
Also, not only can I still orgasm, but my penis, when I still had it, could still get fully erect.
Okay, well, there's a difference.
So results do vary.
A great deal of trans women can actually have a vaginal orgasm. It's not that uncommon.
Okay, I do have a question from somebody in the group. Madeline wants to ask a question. Her question is, does a trans woman who was circumcised have less sensitivity?
Yes. And that's because of the nerve endings that get removed during circumcision.
Okay.
Circumcision is completely unnecessary in this modern day and age, and I would even suggest that's never been necessary. Okay, when they remove that tissue, they're removing nerve endings. They're removing a portion of your penis that had it still been there, you'd probably be a lot more sensitive. So when you're going into a vaginoplasty with less material than you otherwise would have, then of course there's going to be a lot less material for you to work with after the surgery. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't get off, you can't have an orgasm or have a good sex life, but that is the truth.
It might be, was it different for everybody else? That, I mean, I'm circumcised, but
Myself, I had to be circumcised 2 years prior to my vaginoplasty surgery because the end of the skin started to turn hard and die off. So it had to be removed.
Yeah, I agree that circumcision is unnecessary. That's something that certain cultures around the world have adopted to make their penis look different. So it is unnecessary, but I don't agree that you will definitely lose sensitivity, because there are, for example, cisgender men, heteronormative men that with or without the foreskin have very good pleasure sensors in their penis. And those who transition, again, like you've said in previous statements, results may vary. So you can't say that, yes, you will lose sensitivity. That's loss in sensitivity for many transgender women is only temporary. It's a temporary thing while your body is in recovery mode. But it's during that recovery mode that you feel a lot of the nerve endings in your newly formed vagina, that you start feeling a lot of the nerve endings start firing off. And that's part of the recovery process, feeling those nerves firing off to know that your newly formed vagina is going to be functioning once it has healed. The nerve endings in your body are different, just like your G-spot may not be the same as somebody else's G-spot. That's because your nerve endings are placed differently and intricately for your individual body. And when the doctors are on the operating table constructing your vagina, they're just pulling basically, for example, the shaft that basically creates the bulk of the vaginal cavity. They're just taking what's already there, inverting it, turning it inside out, shoving it up inside there. They're not taking each individual nerve ending and giving it a new home. They're just placing the whole thing up inside there and then securing it into place.
just like a
So
wiring
if
harness.
a person had a lot of nerve endings primarily in their foreskin, then yes, they very well may lose sensitivity. But if the majority of their nerve endings were in the shaft, well, then they're not really losing anything by cutting off the foreskin. So
Okay.
again, it varies from person to person.
I agree with that. Okay, Allison, go ahead, sweetheart.
Allison?
Yes, Allison.
So sorry. I'm using the digital mute versus my DAC for my audio, but
you.
medically speaking, since I've been through med school, you're partially right and you're partially wrong. So during that surgery, there is a severing of specific nerve endings and nerve displacements, but because of the matrix of how they're dispersed through the skin and the vascular muscle tissue determines how that response is going to be re-stimulated by the brain. It's a neurosynaptic control mechanism. So 99% of that is controlled neuromuscular. And because I have my master's in neuro, that's one of the things that I spent a lot of time studying in my formative years in college, is how the brain interacts with nerve center response and postsynaptic, polysynaptic, presynaptic, and how those firing mechanisms work during motor skill movement. Does a circumcision wage one way or the other? No, makes no medical difference one way or the other with the skin. It's all about how the genetic makeup of that matrices of nerve endings is dispersed during birth, during growth, during puberty, and the evolution of your time through your sequence of body growth. Can there be damage temporarily? Yes, Angel, you're correct. That's exactly how it's actually predicated in the documentation. Does your body heal from it? That depends on how your body responds to post-traumatic distress and how it handles synaptic rebuilding of an injury. Because as my surgeon has told me too, you're dealing with a serious wound. Your body has to figure out how to circumvent and fix what has changed, whether, like for me, and it's not the same in an example, but it's the only way I can example it right now because I'm getting ready for mine. But in 2003, I was shot and I took a bullet right here during an altercation with my career. And I no longer am in that career, thank God. But when I had that damage done to that section of my elbow, that was one of the things that my surgeon had talked about with reconstructing some of the tendon and reattaching the tendon from my elbow to my radius. And they explained it to me that because your body has to deal with how to realign that matrices to work the way that it was before is completely on how the body was designed before the damage was there or before the change had happened. Once that's done and the healing is completed, the rest of it is all here in the neurotransmitter system. That's it, period. Your CNS, your central nervous system. Your parenthetical on the PNS perspective from a medical aspect is the responsitory side of how your nervous system down your spinal column communicates out those pathways. So something could touch, stimulate, induce, or change in the parenthetical state out here in the peripheral, but your central doesn't pick it up. That's because your brain is not conditioning the response to actually trigger it. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just cut and dry and saying that, like, if I'm circumcised, I'm not going to have as much pleasure as somebody who's uncircumcised. No, that's medically incorrect.
Okay, thank you, sweetie. Now, and I'm learning so much on this. This topic is very, very good, and we're learning so much about this. Now, I have a girl here that I really want to talk to, is Teresa. Now, Teresa had, yeah, there she goes. She's getting ready. Teresa, you're going to be in the hot seat. Teresa had robotic GRS. So this is very amazing. And it was very expensive. And, so, and I've heard, so this is with, Angel, Charlene, and Elaine have had, and Zarkan have had it with the normal. This is with robotics. So I want you guys to listen to this. This is very good. Go ahead, Teresa, you're on. When did you decide that this was, you want to spend $100 million to get this? I'm kidding.
Well, being a refrigeration service specialist, being union, traveling the country, starting up and shutting down hockey rinks across the country, I really had to concentrate on my work ethic and complete so many years of working in the union and building up to retirement. Now, I known a long time ago that this was my path that I was following, and there were certain things I had to do at certain stages to be ready for the time surgery was to happen. So for anybody who might possibly be on the fence post thinking about surgery, the very first thing that you want to get started on is getting hair removal in the surgery area started the very first thing as soon as you can. It's going to take a couple of years, as it did me, for having zero growth in surgery area, because you don't want a lot of hair start growing in the vaginal canal after post-op. In the beginning, I had to go through 12 months of my therapist before she would allow me to even speak to a surgeon. She allowed me, after so many visits, to start HRT, and I had to be on HRT a year, a little over a year, and the same way with being in your normal female everyday, being female everyday living for at least a year, even though I was already 5-6 years living that way. But they have certain guidelines that they follow. When I got my first interview with the surgeon, he told me his procedures, and if I wasn't happy with his procedures, that I would probably be better off finding a different surgeon. He had looked at all of my medical records from the past. I used to have to wear a catheter when I was working because the testosterone level in my body was so high, it was causing my prostates to enlarge. And when you have enlarged prostates and you're driving across the country, you got to hit every rest stop. Otherwise, you're wearing a catheter like I had to. To eliminate having to wear a catheter, there was one doctor that I talked to, and I asked him, I says, well, what's causing the prostates to be enlarged? He says, well, your testosterone level's so high, it's causing it. Well, what can we do to remove that he says, well, if we have an orchiectomy, your prostate would go back to normal. So at that same time, I was also making arrangements to talk to my surgeon, and he seen that I was on spironolactone and all the other pain medications I was on from previous back injuries and stuff, because I used to have to take a Percocet every day just to function. Well, he wanted me to remove 90% of all of my medications, and spironolactone was one of them. And he says the very first thing we have to do is an orchiectomy. He says after your orchiectomy, then we'll do the vaginoplasty. He says, but first we got to get your medications under control and get you straightened out on your levels and all that. So I had the orchiectomy January 13th of 2020. And then 6 weeks after that, 6 weeks after that, was supposed to be the vaginoplasty surgery, robotic assisted. Well, COVID hit, and it was the first wave of cancellations of all surgeries in all operating rooms. At that point in time, the only message I got from my surgeon was, it's going to be a long time before you hear from us. And when you do hear from us, it's time to come in to do your surgery. This happened 6 times. And each time it happened, it was in 3 days of surgery. So everything got scrubbed 6 times. I asked him, I says, so coming up to the surgery, I says, okay, I'm in the hospital, so it's going to go, right? And they says, it can get canceled at any moment. If they say to cancel, it gets canceled. So I'm going in the operating room, and I'm all excited. I'm half drugged up, and I'm looking at, I says, there's the Da Vinci robot. And I was wanting to look at it more because it's like, that's the robot's going to be working on me. And it's like, I got in the operating room looking all around and says, wow, this room is full of people. And they say, yeah, we're here for you. Like, great. The moment of waking up is the happiest moment, the most joyful moment, most emotional moment I think I ever felt in my entire life. Even though I was completely alone in my room, I couldn't have no visitors at all because of COVID. I was in the hospital 3 days and they let me go home. I was up walking around the same day of surgery. They were giving me fentanyl and a spinal tap. So when they asked me what my pain level was, it was -3 because I couldn't feel no pain at all until I got home and the hospital medication wore off. And it wasn't really pain, it was mostly discomfort from the tightness of all the internal stitches. I think that was it was just uncomfortable. But for pain medication, it's just Tylenol and ibuprofen for the duration. My first surgery that I had, the orchiectomy, now the union insurance screwed me over big time. To get the operating room to be approved and to hold it, you had to have the insurance say, yes, we're going to cover it. And all the paperwork and documents being passed back and forth before anything could happen in any operating room because the hospital want to make sure they're getting paid. So the orchiectomy went through. It was an outpatient surgery that came to $38,000. Well, the insurance through the union first paid it. Hospital received it. It came time for the second surgery. So the doctor's secretary calls the insurance company to get approval, and it got approved. They got the numbers. They ordered the operating room. Everything got set up. A week later, and the insurance company called back and said, what's this surgery for? Well, they got it listed as life-saving surgery. Well, what's life-saving about the surgery? Well, it's transgender. Oh no, we're not covering it. What do you mean you're not covering it? You covered the first surgery that was the orchiectomy, and everything has been packed and the patient's ready for the second surgery. What first surgery? We want our money back. The hospital had to pay the insurance company the money back because a certain president made it legal for discriminating us in an insurance. So I had to pay $38,000 out of my pocket for the orchiectomy. And I said to the
You can say his
secretary,
name.
I said to the secretary of the surgeon, I says to her, I says, well, I got annuity money in my retirement. I can use my retirement money for the surgery. And she says, honey, you got to have a deposit of $50,000 for this surgery. I says, a deposit, 50,000, how much is this? Well, the robotic assisted surgery is $277,000. I was like, I thought for sure that was the end of my life because I wasn't going to live the way I was living. Well, how everything got straightened out is the hospital seen what my insurance company screwed me over. So I called back the next day. After they gave me the bad news, it was like, I wasn't going to live another day if I didn't have kind of good news. And she says, no, it's only a bump in the road. She says, I'm going to give you a phone number. You need to call this lady in the hospital and she's going to give you instructions, follow her instructions to the T, and we're going to see what we can do to help you. So I did that. I had to go to my union, cancel out my insurance, which was costing me $1,400 every 3 months just to have health insurance. So I canceled that out, and I took the paperwork to the hospital, and they ran it through, and they got me Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance that covered the surgery for me. The only thing I had to pay for is my first surgery, and then the hospital covered my life-saving surgery to make sure I had my surgery completed. So
Okay, so what was it like? I mean, okay, so now what was, as far as compared to normal surgery with the robotic assist, and I'm sure a lot you girls want to ask this question, so I'm going to ask it. Was your recovery time normal or was it less because you didn't have, you showed me where they put the robotic things through you. It was in your
yeah, I got
stomach.
five portholes where the robot arms went in.
So
I
was
think
your,
the major differences between the normal standard surgery and the robotic surgery, he says he did zero graft, no graft. All nerve endings remain attached.
so what was your recovery time then?
My recovery time is about the same,
Okay,
only I have full feeling without having to worry about nerve endings reattaching themselves.
now didn't you tell me, and correct me if I'm wrong, now you do not have to dilate, correct?
Oh, I do have to dilate.
Okay, okay,
That's if you don't, that's a different type of surgery. They use a lining out from your stomach that
Okay.
will lubricate and stuff. But
okay.
my surgeon, he has been writing, it's at Upstate University Hospital. It's a college hospital. He's written textbooks on the procedure of the robotic assisted penile inversion surgery.
Okay,
Plus afterwards, post care, they had me for 12 weeks of physical therapy for strengthening the pelvic floor muscles
okay, I got that. I can
and
understand that.
making sure that all the incisions and everything was healing properly.
Now, Allison has mentioned that that's the surgery that you wanted, correct, Allison? You wanted to get the, robotic assist, correct?
Yeah, I'm actually doing the research through Dr. Rachel Bluebon Wagner out of Johns Hopkins in Manhattan at the Langone Center. And they are, I've already been through 2 consultations now, and I believe most of their evolution of the medical procedure for this surgery has evolved from Teresa's university. A lot of the stuff I've been talking with them back and forth, I've been very, very transparent about where they've collaborated with different medical research facilities across the United States as well as across the world. And I do believe the one that she's referencing that she talks about is one that they've, because they're both located in New York. So the collaboration in the medical world for that perspective is very, very heavy, especially in transgender affirming care. But yes, I don't know the technical perspective exactly, but the lady that I was talking to who works with Dr. Rachel was telling me that it's like some kind of thing called the Mitsubishi something AI assisted, where the surgeon actually does do a majority of the technical work, but everything is micro precise. Because I'm very technical and analytical in the medical sense, and I've already been through a lot of the medical training. I had a lot of questions that I had asked them, and she said the biggest thing that the benefits come from this is what they call minimally invasive aftercare or minimally invasive recovery. The time is about the same. That's always been advised to me. But she said the thing that you're going to benefit the most from is you don't have to worry about grafts from other areas. You don't have to worry about medical, I don't want to say imperfections because that's not fair, but as a human, we are only as precise as our fingers and our medical training allows us to be. And as a surgeon, you're trained to be the best of the best, but you're going to have some contingencies because everybody's body is different. Like Angel said, results may vary. Zarakhan said the same thing too. Everybody's body responds differently to how a surgery process happens. The only different constant when you come into robotics is you're no longer relying on a human error anymore. There's not that actual element anymore. Everything is done through programs and concise AI and adaptability of an algorithm at a technical level. So the precision with a human hand is like, I'm trying to remember what my instructors used to tell me. It's something like 0.07 millimeters. So the most accurate surgeons are very accurate down to like 0.7 millimeters. The human eye can't really recognize. But sometimes you'll have a slip, or you'll have a not so straight line, or a slightly unautonomous line. With machine and robotics, as they told me, and Dr. Rachel has said to me in one of the consultations, a straight line is a straight line to a machine, period. That's it. Like, you're going to be still, you're going to be out, you're going to be sedated. You're not going to be moving anywhere. It's not like you're going to be awake and be able to watch down there and look at them and be like, oh, hey, I see you're driving this robot. That's fantastic. Can you move it a little bit to the left? Because I really want this to look a little bit different. Like, you can't say that. Like, she's like, you're paralyzed. Like, and as long as these environmental factors are subjugated, meaning consistent and static, so that there's no movement, she's like, the robot's going to do exactly what the robot was programmed to do. And if there's any alteration or change, that's where the doctor or the surgeon kind of chimes in and does it. But it's not like the surgeon, because I asked this question too. I'm like, what, does the surgeon pause the robot for a second and walk right into the thing, scrub up and, wash in and be like, oh, no. That's a little off. So we're going to move the arm out of the way and I'm going to do it by hand. No. They use the tool just like you were. This is so bad for me to say this. They auto drive.
Yeah.
Like it's a Tesla. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm done with auto drive. We got to fix this. And she goes in and uses the tool itself. But like, I don't know if that was the same for you, Teresa, but that's what, when I talked to them at Johns Hopkins, that's exactly how they described it to me.
I had 4 different surgeons, and each surgeon had its own task he wanted.
Specificity. Yeah. That's exactly what they told me. They're like, you're going to have anywhere between 3 and 7 surgeons, and each one of us is an expert in our field.
Right.
And I said, okay. And she's like,
That's amazing.
Each one of us knows how to use the machine. We're all trained on how to do it. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Have you guys practiced on any other type of surgery to know?
Well,
I kind of find this a little bit scary to know that you're like, oh yeah, we got this new robot and all it does is make vaginas. Like,
well, Dmitry Nikolowski is my doctor's name, surgeon's name. And he's from, I asked him, I says, he's not from United, he's from
Hungary.
not Hungary, from Yugoslavia. So
Same part of the world.
Europe is
Yeah.
like so far ahead of us in a lot of this stuff in
but
robotics.
one of the things he said to me, I couldn't make heads or tails before surgery, because he says, if you put yourself side by side with a cisgender woman, she's going to be jealous of you.
Yeah, that's so true. That is so
And-
true.
And my physical therapist, she had to put her fingers up inside my vagina to test my pelvic floor muscles out, how they're contracting and everything. And she says, it looks just like mine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice to know.
the crazy part about that is the anatomical accuracy from human versus machine. You're talking a substantial difference. Not enough that you would be able to, like, I've got a doctor down here that I was going to go to, and that's how it got canceled, because this goes on Teresa's talk about when she was saying about her insurance, because I just had that same situation and bullshit that I had to deal with. But this guy's been doing these procedures for about 18 or 19 years, and he founded the International Research Institute for Transgender Health and Affirmation Surgeries in Texas. And that's where Angel, her doctor, I think your doctor, Angel, if you don't mind me saying his name, is that okay?
Dr. Freet.
Dr. Freet. So Dr. Freet collaborated with this surgeon up here, Dr. Alan Doolin. And their publications for this whole entire gender affirmation surgery process was a collaboration among many, many, many great surgeons in Texas, and is now part of this whole entire collaborative up here. And I'd been going to him for 16 months trying to get everything aligned properly. And I have great insurance. I have Aetna, and my Aetna plan covers damn near everything I want out of the box. Where the problem is Texas is so, and I'm not trying to say this because I'm against the state that I live in. I love Texas and I love living here, but they're so left of everything when it comes to making sure that we can do the things that we need to do mentally and physically to ensure that we have a good life, and we're not walking around ready to take a proverbial discourse of action against our own physical life because we can't get the care that we're supposed to. That's the frustration part that we're dealing with. And this doctor was totally on board. And I've been seeing him, and I billed all my consultation courses to him through Aetna. Went through the whole entire process. I even reached out to Angel and asked her about it in personal while she was going through her recovery. And God bless you, honey, for letting me talk to you and ask you some of those dumb questions. Cause I was I'm not going to shit you. I'm 60 days post them coming at me and telling me, oh, hey, by the way, we stopped taking all insurance except Blue Cross, and this is 9 days before my date. I was set to have surgery on the 17th of August. And I went in for the final thing on the 9th. And the office is like, well, so how are you going to pay for this? And I'm like, the same way that I've been doing the whole entire time, bill it to my insurance. You guys, I pay you $45 for this visit, and then I'm going to go home and we're going to be good. And she goes, oh, well, they didn't tell you. And I'm like, no, nobody told me anything. And she hands me this stack of documents and she's like, this is what we stopped doing. And now we don't have that. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding?
I knew that.
Why would you do that? And then he has the audacity. He looks at me and he goes, so it's going to be like $36,000. And I said, okay. He goes, he's like, here's the deal though. He goes, if you feel like it, he goes, I feel like you could be really good with like right around a 38C/38D. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, if you throw in your breast augmentation at the same time, I'll do both of them and put it together as a package bundle deal. I'm like, this is not a fucking combo meal. I'm not at Burger King. I'm not paying $5.99 and ordering fries with extra onion rings here, you son of a bitch. I'm not putting it because he's like, it'll be $38,000.
Do I get a toy with that?
Right? No kidding. And he's like, oh, it'll be $38,000. And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, but I'll take $5,000 off if you package your boobs in with it. Like, wait, what? Like, so you're telling me $38,000 if I just want a vagina, but $33,000 if I let you do my boobs and my vagina at the same time? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Like packages together? This is not Geico. We're not saving auto insurance here.
Yeah.
What doctor was this?
It's Dr. Alan Doolin right here in Plano.
$38,000.
Yep,
He's
$38,000.
at the American Institute of Plastic Surgery.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why I
got
talked
that
to
information
Angel.
From him a few years ago because I saw him when I was first starting my surgical transition. And he was one of the first people that I went to because a few other trans people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area had recommended the American Institute for Plastic Surgery in Plano. So I went there and I spoke to Dr. Doolin and I told him my situation with the insurance company and that I have insurance that's supposed to cover it and da-da-da-da. And they told me then that they don't work with insurance because most insurance companies won't pay for it. And the reason it came down to was that, yes, they are board certified doctors. They are board certified plastic surgeons. They have all the licensing and credentials and everything they need. But it comes down to the fact that they're not a hospital. American Institute for Plastic Surgery is one of those pop-up surgery clinics. And most insurance companies will only cover your surgeries if they're in an actual hospital facility. Because if something were to happen, knock on wood, in the middle of your surgery, they're going to have to put you in an ambulance and rush you to an actual hospital.
Yeah. The
at the
secondary,
OR,
yeah,
ER, and
secondary
everything
care.
else.
Yep. Yep.
And they don't want to put your body at risk for that. So those pop-up surgery clinics, while they may be very good, most insurance companies will not cover them for that reason, unless you can talk to, because some surgeons, and this may be an option for people out there as well, some surgeons, while they primarily work at this pop-up surgery clinic, they do also have a license with some of the actual major hospitals that would then be approved by the insurance company. And it's just a matter of talking to them if for the length of your surgery, if they would move over to the hospital real quick to perform your surgery so that it then can be approved by insurance.
That's one of the reasons why I reached out and talked to you about it when you were doing your recovery during like the first 2 or 3 days, because based on your conversation with me, which was, I don't even have words to say how thankful I am to be able to have had that conversation with you. It means the world to me. But that's what prompted me to make some phone calls. Like I called Aetna's got an actual dedicated transgender healthcare line. I went and talked to Dr. Amerlak, who he's part of UT Southwestern. And after I got off the phone with,
I did my top surgery.
yeah, so after I got done talking with Aetna, and Aetna was like, here's a whole entire list, and Amerlak is on there, and so is Freet. My representative for Aetna says to me, she's like, just call them and talk to them. So I talked to the office for Dr. Amerlak, and then I called the office for Dr. Freet 5 days after I talked to you, Angel. And how do I say this? The color of the conversation was 180 degrees different than talking to these non-hospital affiliated places. And I think that that would be one of the things that I myself, and I can't speak for Angel and I can't speak for, Elaine or, Zarkon or any of you guys in regards to your surgery, and Teresa too, with you up in New York. But if I had to be an advocate for my own healthcare and, trying to inspire others, if you have insurance, embrace every hospital resource you actually have access to. Work with your insurance. They're not going, this day and age now too, they're not going to come back to you and be like, that's a cool goal, but sorry.
You also have to, as well as doing your homework with your insurance company, and that's something that also that I had to learn. If you have your own private insurance and you're in complete control of how big your policy is and what procedures are listed in your insurance contract, then great. But when you're not in control of your insurance, all you have is which plan do you have? And being that you have a employer-based insurance company, you want to make sure that you are well aware, because it's your employer that is going to determine what is acceptable to be included in your policies and what's not. Once they've determined what's included, they determine the size of each different plan that they are going to offer their employees. Me, knowing that I was planning this surgery, I've been with American Airlines since April 2019. And I already knew that I was going to be having this surgery one way or the other, no matter what. So when I started with American Airlines, they give you benefits day one. So I purposely and intentionally, from the moment I started working there, and every year when we did our open enrollment, I made sure I specifically had the top tier insurance, because I didn't want the hiccups to throw me off. So I know that I have very good insurance. American Airlines providing Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas. And the top tier saved me a lot of money, for sure. I didn't realize how good it was until this past January, because I was expecting to have a copay of a minimum of a few $1,000s. But on the day of admission, I paid $70 copay for my surgery. And then I think I paid probably about $60 for my dilators. And I found that out in January, because I had been calling the billing department at the hospital just to find out what my out-of-pocket cost was going to be. Because I wanted to know how much money I needed to set aside to plan it out financially, because I know it's a big undertaking, with or without insurance. But I just wanted to know just so I could be better prepared. And it wasn't until January that they were finally able to get back to me, because it was going to be 2021 that I was having the surgery done. And so they couldn't really run all the numbers through until 2021 was actually here to find out what my expected out of pocket would be.
Right.
And when they finally did reach me, they're like, "Oh, you're completely covered. You've already met your deductible. You only have to pay admissions and your dialysis, and that's it." I was floored. Because I mean, granted, I have other health issues as it is that can be quite expensive. So that ate up my costs right there. And from that moment forward, I was all in 100%, no questions asked. I was ready for my surgery because I knew it was going to cost me very minimal. Now, granted, I was expecting to pay $400 admissions and about $150 for my dilators. So I was expecting easily $500 to $600 out of pocket, which is still very cheap considerably. But day of admissions, again, I paid $70, $60, $70 copay. And it was just like, oh my gosh. I got out really good. I mean, there was a mishap. I was supposed to have my surgery back in May, but due to an insurance mishap, they failed to send one vital piece of paper over to my surgeon so that my surgeons could sign it, fill it out, and send it back to them. My surgery got canceled in May, and we rescheduled for December. And December 3rd, my surgery went off without a hitch.
Yep. Okay. Allison, go ahead, honey. And then I'm gonna start interviewing again. So go ahead.
Sure. One of the things I wanted to tell everybody, if you've got an insurance through your employer, like Angel and I do, and you're pursuing any kind of surgery in that respect, and you know your employee covers whatever your package is, work with your coverage provider, for one, by contacting their hotline and talking to member services and aligning them on the same page as you and where you're going. That would be my first recommendation. Number two, something that has just taken initiative. Neiman Marcus is, I think, number 4 companies in the DFW that have just recently done this. We just recently got what we call our GLAD WPATH certification in insurance coverage, which means we're recognized by the LGBTIAQ community and the WPATH organization for certification of transgender health and healthcare insurance coverages of the highest no cap coverage that's offerable to any employee who works for Neiman Marcus, which means that they're like what Angel had, where I haven't really found out what my bottom line is going to be, but I have a really good feeling it's going to be close to like what she went through. But my recommendation is find out if your employer's coverage. You can contact your HR and ask them if they're GLAD WPATH certified. It's a new category that just came out within the last 9 months. And it's sweeping the nation, and it's actually sweeping the state of Texas, because I'm an advocate for it now. And I talk about it with a couple companies that are partnered right now with Neiman's, and one of them is Microsoft and the other is Hewlett Packard. So once a month, I have a symposium that I go and attend that are employees from Microsoft and employees from Hewlett Packard, and we talk about transgender affirmation and how to be an influence and what does it mean on my behalf at being at Neiman's, and especially as an executive and being in upper leadership, and how to work with your insurance. And it's really, really good and key to talk to your employer and your coverage provider. If you start you'll start seeing more and more insurance companies that are moving towards this with the companies that they provide insurance to. So it's just an easy check. Ask if they're GLAD WPATH.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, okay, so now Elaine, you're in the hot
Yeah.
seat.
What
Well,
would you like to know?
well, here's the thing, Elaine, now the subject was finally brought up. Angel brought it up when she said pop-up surgery. So, and that's where Elaine had her bottom surgery, was the
At
American.
the American Institute of Plastic Surgery, Dr.
Yeah.
Alan Doolin.
Yes, and you don't ever cut me off again. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Um, but now, y'all ready for this? Everybody's had the long surgery. Her surgery was 2.5 hours and she was done.
The surgery suite was booked from 7 to 9:30. I was in recovery at 10. I woke up at 10:30.
That is just amazing. What was your recovery time like? Now, you said that you spent time in a hotel room with a nurse, and then pretty
That
much
evening, I was in the recovery all day, basically sleeping and eating everything I could get my hands a hold of. And they came and got me about 5 o'clock and got me all ready and everything. And I had a walker. And so I walked on out there because I could. So they said, do you need a wheelchair? Can you walk? I went, no, I got 2 feet. I can walk. So I walked on out there. But as we got to the car, I hemorrhaged. At the back, I had 2 gowns on, one in the front, one in the back. And so they took me back in there, cleaned me all up. And there was a stitch that let go. So they fixed that right then and there, back to the same recovery room. And I kind of looked down there and went, hey, it looks like it's supposed to be there. But that was the first time I saw it, was when they changed the dressing out and changed everything out and all that. And so, but they took me to a hotel, and this nurse, who I have to give a plug for right now, she was the former Miss South Dakota USA 2015. Name is Lexi. And
Huh.
she's now an RN nurse. Yeah. But my recovery was painless. They were giving me hydromorphine and Phenergan, along with I took a stool softener twice a day and a laxative twice a day. They said, do not push, do not push. Okay, I didn't have to push. Well, I go back after the first, and I mean, literally with the pain medicine, I have severe knee problems. I didn't have any knee problems that first week because I was on the heavy duty narcotics from Tuesday to, 5 days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's a Saturday. And then Sunday I was off of them. I was on Tylenol and everything. I went back the following week, on Wednesday, had the catheter removed. And I've done a lot of research on this, on trying to figure out exactly where the skin graft came from. But when he pulled the packing out and pulled that catheter out, God, I felt like I was going to pee all over everybody when he did that. It was that feeling. The nurse winced like that. And he said, what have you been doing? I went, nothing other than what I'm supposed to be doing. He said, have you been pushing? I went, pushing what? When you go to have a bowel movement? I went, no, sir. I don't have to. Laxatives, stool softeners, everything goes. He said, your skin graft's not looking good. Now, where is this skin graft? I don't have a clue. I haven't figured it out yet. I think it was on the outside of the vaginal canal. That being said, they put packing back in there. They said, come back next week. I go back next week. Okay, wait a minute. That was on Wednesday. They put more packing back in there. They said, come back next week. Okay. Friday, 2 days later, I go to the bathroom. I go to urinate. I stand up to wipe myself off. I look down. I went, what in the world is that? And I'm thinking it was the packing. Okay. Because it looked like a little strip about maybe 1/17 of an inch wide. It was probably about maybe a 3/4 of an inch long, hanging down from me. I went, well, what's that packing doing there? Push it back up in there. Okay. I go back to hit, then it fell out again like 2 days later. I went, okay, I'm just gonna leave it. I go back to the doctor the next week on Wednesday, and he said, what have you been doing? I went, what are you talking about? He said, the skin graft has failed. You've lost your depth. I mean, I was going for full depth. Didn't get it. I got maybe 1.5 inches, 1 3/4. That's it. But
Okay.
I mean, and I have shown my vagina to a lot of medical people. I know a lot of medical people, and they're all going, and the guys are going, looks like a vagina to me, and all the girls are going, wish mine looked that good. I'm not kidding you. And but it's been 12 weeks as of last Tuesday, and the doctor said no restrictions. I went, okay, let's have some fun now. Have I had intimacy with somebody? Yes, twice, and it was good, but that part does not work. It may not ever work because of the lack of depth and stuff. And they had said in the consult meeting, he said, now there is a chance, and I know of 6 women who have gone to him, and I've seen all 6 women. I've seen their vaginas, and they all have full depth. Everybody's happy to go lucky, they all have a good time. That being said, they did talk about skin graft may fail. He said it just all depends, it's like 1 in 10 or 1 in 12 surgeries, they have an issue with skin grafts. Mine did fail. Where did they get the skin graft from? Probably what was the leftover, because I knew that the outer labia, I know what that was made of, and I'm not going to say it on, since we're being recorded, but it used to be hanging down. Okay. I could tell that because I mean, I got pictures. It's like, I know where that part came from.
What, PVC pipe? I don't know. I'm kidding.
Use the medical terminology. It was scrotal tissue.
Scrotal tissue, yes, and stuff. But
Got you.
I had somebody with me and stuff for that first week, and then after that I was on my own. But I had no pain. I had no really issue. I mean, now when they dilated, when I went back 2 weeks later, and he said that skin graft failed, he said, you're going to have some depth, just not like what you wanted. He said, we're going to start you dilating. And they got this little orange dilator, maybe a little bit big, about the size of a nickel.
Okay.
Lubed that up, and I went, they went, whoop, I went, okay. He said, yeah, he said, don't go past the first dot. The first dot is me looking down at it. Okay.
Okay.
That first dot is looking at it. The first dot is all it's ever going to be. And so that's around 1.5 inches, somewhere in there.
Okay.
But I'm very, very pleased with the results. Am I jealous because all the other women have full depth? Nope, don't really care. Because the one gal that I've been with is like, she goes, that don't mean nothing to me. And
Yeah.
stuff.
That can be fixed.
But I'm very pleased with it and stuff. And the fact that my panties and pants fit right is just outstanding and stuff. I mean, I'm very well pleased.
Very good. Thank you,
I
honey.
mean, now I did go doing now about what you were talking about insurance earlier. I had Blue Cross Blue Shield, but the plan that I had was the one that the company was doing, and that insurance plan would pay for the surgery. And the lady said, we pay for all, she said, that's just another surgery. We cover it. Okay. Well, they didn't take that plan.
Oh, okay.
So fortunately, I had the money in my 401k, and I pulled that out, and that's how I paid for it. And that's how I've been. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, honey. Thank you for sharing. It was fascinating. You know, I can't think of a surgery like that only being like 2.5, 3 hours. That's just, so I take it, it was half the cost.
Yeah, yeah, well, now, when I had my top surgery with Dr. Bardia Amerlak, that did cost me 2,000. And then
Okay.
the insurance picked up the rest of it,
Okay, and what was this surgery, your bottom?
top surgery with him.
No, how much was your bottom?
16.5 plus 750 cash for the night nurse.
And you're fully functional, you operate fine, you're not having any complications or anything, right?
No,
Okay,
not at all.
so now we got, yeah, but.
I
the only-
I do urinate in a straight down. It doesn't go everywhere. Never did.
Okay, now here's the thing. Here's the thing. Most insurance companies will not go to where you went. So if one of us girls wanted to pursue that route, it would have to be out of pocket.
Right.
Okay.
I mean,
No, but-
unfortunately, I mean, for me, working for the company I've worked for over 27 years, I did have money in my 401k and I
Uh-huh.
pulled it out and paid for it.
There you go. Okay. Charlene, you're in the hot seat. It's my oldest one. You know,
Let the fun begin.
you know what?
Now, I want everybody to know that Jody is scared to death of what I might say.
No, I'm not. Because I've got Angel here and I'm gonna let, if it gets too bad, I'll let her take over and I'll go get some wine and get drunk and then I'll be good. So just so you know that I'm recording this, so just remember, be on your best behavior. Charlene, just give me a good behavior and I will be happy.
Okay.
All right, so Charlene, you had your surgery at 69, correct?
Yeah.
So you were when I first met you, you were going to be the oldest girl that I knew of that had her surgery.
Right.
Now, unlike everybody else in here, which they said it was, you know, whatever it was. Your surgery seems to me that your recovery, everything seems to be that it took the longest. Now, how long were you out after, you know?
Well, they said the surgery took 6.5 hours.
Okay. So that's about normal, right? Angel, about you were out 6-8 hours.
More about 5, isn't it?
Surgery for 11 hours.
Okay,
Oh,
she
was
was
it?
out for 11. Okay.
Okay.
Well, you had a lot of students around you, didn't you?
I did.
Okay. So now what you got full depth, right?
Correct.
Okay. Describe the moments that led you up to your surgery and what motivated you to get done and get completed.
Okay. I may be kind of a unique situation because of my age.
Uh-huh.
I worked for Delta Airlines as a mechanic and I could never have transitioned there. They would have either gotten rid of me or I would have gone down a running engine and no one would have ever be able to, it would have been a mistake. There's no way anybody could prove a thing. And when I retired, actually for medical, and I went through something that a lot of older people do. You retire, and after a period of time, you start talking. You don't see anybody, talk to anybody, go anywhere, do anything. And I slowly fell into that. And I was afraid at the time, I was too old for HRT or the vaginoplasty. And I thought with the health conditions I've got, there's no way in hell they're going to let me go on HRT. So the doctor that I've had and I've seen for years and stuff, she and I had an agreement that if I ever decided to call it quits, I would contact her and let her at least talk to me. Then I was free to do anything I wanted to. And I told her, I said, I'm done. I said, I'm out of here. Doesn't bother me at all. And we started talking about it. She said, well, she knows Charlene has existed for 20 years. She's met her. And she said, well, why don't you let Charlene give it a shot? What have you got to lose? I said, nothing, but I probably can't get the HRT or anything else. And she said, well, you don't know that. Let's find out. So, okay. I ended up going to a doctor that's really good here, an endocrinologist. Told her what's going on, and she said, "I don't see a problem. The only difference, they wanted to see me every 3 months instead of 3 and then 6 months." Okay. And I contacted the University of Utah, and the people the University of Utah is fantastic. They have 6 different doctors that specialize in this. And they have a complete medical department devoted to transgender healthcare. And the girl that I talked to, I said, "You know what? I know I'm not going to like the answer to this question I'm going to ask you." I said, "But I'm 60 at the time. I was 68 years old." I said, "Is it possible to have the GRS done?" She said, "Oh yeah, why not?" I said, "Well, because of my age, everything." She goes, "No." In fact, she said that half of the people that were going to be scheduled for surgery were 60 years and older. Some were 65, a couple were in their 70s. She said, "No, there's no reason why you can't." Now, they were extremely good with me because I was upfront with them and I said, "You know what, at my age, I don't have that much time left. So I don't have a lot of time to screw around and play around. I would like to really do this as quick as I can." So ultimately, I went through starting HRT to finishing the transition with the GRS in 14 months, which is kind of unheard of. Everything went fantastic, went great. I didn't have any problems. Went in, had the consult. They scheduled me. In fact, I was scheduled when the COVID started. I was scheduled to have my operation on the 30th of March. And it was unbelievable because when I spoke to the girl that was there scheduling, she said, "Well, when would you like to have it done?" I said, "Pick a date." She said, "How about the 30th of March?" And that just about shut me up. And I said, "Okay, you said the 30th of March, right?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Can you assure me it'll be done then?" She said, "Sure, I can do that." And she looks and she goes, "Oh my God, that's your birthday, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I can't think of a better birthday gift to get than that." Well, due to COVID, they put it off. And luckily I got to do it in May. When I went through mine, actually, my healing process went really good. I was different than probably most because I had about 3 times the amount of stitches that most will get because of the previous prostate problems.
Right.
And when I was in the hospital 6 days, and they said they only want I could go from the bed to the bathroom. That was it. No more. They
Okay.
didn't want me tearing or hurting any of the stitches. So, okay, yeah, I did that. And I'll never forget though, the only real pain I can speak of that was when they would ask you if you're in pain, I would say not necessarily pain, but it is an extreme uncomfortable sensation. And she goes, "Well, what is it?" And here I am. I'm trying to think of how do I describe this, and I can't think of any way to describe it. I said, "Okay, I'm going to put in the fewest words I can that you'll truly understand right off the bat." She said, "Okay, what is it?" I said, I feel like I've got the most extreme worst hard on I've ever had in my life." And she said, "Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about." Okay, so for the most part, I dealt with, I think I did Tylenol and Wellbutrin, and that was about it. And I was actually surprised when I got home. Yeah, I was sore. I'd take my time. They did tell me to avoid stairs, not to go upstairs more than maybe once a day. They said, but the rest of it, do whatever you feel like you can do. So, I mean, I could go from the couch to the kitchen really easily and stuff. And so it wasn't real bad. And then I think about every week I noticed a tremendous difference, where I could walk further and stuff. And I think I'm 18 months post-op now, and everything works great, feels great. In fact, you know how they get you dilating? They had me, everybody, that's one thing that's really different. a lot of places will be adamant about 3 times a day. And they said for me, they said twice a day was good. I did that and I did it religiously for about a year and a few months. And then after that, I started to, because of information from other girls, I started to cut back a little bit. And I've gotten to the point now where I can dilate about once every 2 days, and it's pretty good. And the biggest thing I've learned about the dilating was it does 2 things. It helps keep your depth. And the biggest problem I have heard from other girls is, and this is something that it can't be helped, has to do with your body, scar tissue.
Okay.
How much scar tissue forms. I was really lucky. I didn't have a lot of scar tissue. Some girls have it bad enough they actually have to use silver nitrate to go in and start getting rid of some of the scar tissue.
Right.
And I can
Zero scar
feel,
tissue.
I can feel where the connection was made, but I understand that the dilating actually helps with getting rid of the scar tissue and stuff. But mine worked great. I just have to have some candidates to use it.
Well, count me out. But anyways.
And you know what? One of the things I joke about this, and I've read a lot about this, is that the bad part, when you get the vaginoplasty done, they don't give you a user's manual.
Mhm.
No,
And
that's why I got you guys to give me the user's manual.
Well, since
We
everybody's
are the user's manual.
since
Pretty
everybody's
much.
different, it actually comes down to you get to experiment and play and find out what it is that works for you and what feels good. And if you're lucky and you have a partner that's there, they can advance that quite a bit. They can really help you if they're understanding, they're gentle, they're willing to, work
Right.
with you. They can help you a lot quicker, find out what it is that you like to feel, all of that. So.
Okay, for the last 45 minutes of the meeting, I'm going to open up the floor to questions. I know a lot of you have questions about all this. You've got 4 or 5 girls in here to ask and pick their brains. Elaine, go ahead. Whose brain do you want?
Charlene said about not going upstairs and stuff. I have a 2-story townhouse, and I didn't even try to go upstairs after, during that first week because I had everything set up down here in my living room to recover down here and everything. I had my friend Justine. I let her use my house as a recovery for the first week, and that's how I was able to fine tune everything for me. Worked out pretty good, but I didn't go upstairs until after I got my catheter out, and then after that I was up and down all the time. You just got to take it easy. I mean, you got to know your own body and see what works for you. If it goes, ouch, don't do that. It's just common knowledge and stuff. But I'm very, very fortunate, very, very pleased.
I've got a question for everybody who's had the vaginoplasty.
Okay, before you ask that question, Raven has also joined us and she's had her surgery. So
That's right.
if you want to pick her brain too, you can. Okay, Charlene, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask if, I was in the hospital 6 days. Like I said, everybody's different. Their standard procedure is 6 days. Take the catheter out, take the bandage off. Was anybody amazed when they started taking the packing out, how much they took out?
It's a
I mean,
bunch.
I'm looking at a pile of this stuff and I'm saying, are you sure that all that was in there? He goes, are you almost done? He said, I guarantee you, you'll know when I'm getting to the end.
I don't
It's like the
remember.
magician's scarf trick.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
This
They
is a
put
big
me under
pile.
under anesthesia to take the packing catheter out.
He
So I
had a
don't-
device
I
in
don't
there.
remember
It
that
just-
part. I just know that I woke up and it was out, and they wanted me to see if I was able to pee on my own.
He pulled a device out of me and showed it to the other doctors. It was just a single device. It wasn't a packing.
He took a picture and showed me. He sent it to me and showed me what it looked like. I did ask him, are you sure that's going to look any good?
I'm sorry.
I said, when he showed me a picture right after they took the packing off, I did ask him, are you sure that's going to look different and better? He goes, oh yeah, it will.
Okay. So anybody else got a question for the panel here that's had their surgeries? Anything you guys want to know? Now's the time to ask because that's what these
Raven's got
girls.
something.
Go ahead, Raven.
I know for myself, when I had my surgery back in April, I was in the hospital for 3 days, and then and they let me actually go home, or actually to my hotel with my catheter. And then I was actually amazed when I went back for my first post-op of just us right there in the doctor's office, just how much packaging that they took out of me. They took so much out of me. I felt like it was just going forever.
Okay. All right. Very good. And you just had your surgery not too long ago, right?
Yeah, I had my surgery April 21st of this year.
Mine was
Okay.
October 12th of this year, 12 weeks
April
ago.
13th. Mine was
Okay.
April 13th.
And Angels is also the freshest. Hers was December 3rd. So she's the youngest and she's the youngest, and then she's the youngest surgery date. So hers is still new. So Angel's still in recovery mode. Am I correct?
Yeah, I'm not allowed to return to work until February 1st.
Yeah, it's called non-use mode.
Yeah,
I was actually surprised for myself on how quickly I actually healed up. It's like for myself, I healed up actually pretty quick, where by week 3, because I had to stay in Austin for 3 weeks. By week 3, I was actually, I was walking stairs by week 3. I even went out and I hopped on one of those bird scooters, and I was riding the bird scooters around downtown Austin. And I was surprised at how well I was feeling.
Okay, good.
I
Good.
was in and out of complications because, like Charlene said, I was in the hospital for 6 days, and they released me to go home back up to the Dallas area. I had my surgery done in Houston, which is a good 4-hour drive from my house to Houston. And I was home for about 2 days and had post-op complications. I was waking up in that 2 days multiple times a night, every hour or two, feeling like I needed to go to the bathroom. And I would go,
Right.
but over the course of the next couple of days, it got increasingly hard to urinate, to the point that on the second night, leading into the 3rd day being home, I had to call the ER because I was in so much pain. It was excruciating. And they rushed me to Scott and White Baylor Medical Center in Grapevine, Texas. And they were looking at everything, and for all everything was looking good. The problem that I was experiencing was that my urinary canal had swollen up so much that I was unable to urinate at all. And because of that, my bladder had become distended. And they told me that my bladder should only hold 600 to 700 milliliters, max 8 to 9. And my bladder actually had 1 to 2 full liters of fluid in it. So the ER nurses looked at my urinary canal, and we're going to try to put in a vaginal catheter in. Problem being that it was so swollen, they could not get a catheter in there at all. So they had to admit me overnight, put me on a lot of painkillers, muscle relaxers, nerve relaxers, you name it, until the next day when I could see the urologist. and the urologist had to put me under to install a suprapubic catheter into my pelvic abdominal area. And once they put that in, it was such a relief on my bladder, because had I not gone to the hospital that night, I would have run the risk of my bladder bursting. And who knows what could have happened from then. I could have lost it all. And then once it came time for removal, it was because I had been on antibiotics and painkillers and muscle relaxers and everything else, and finding the right combination of drugs that were going to actually help me to properly recover during those complications. And now I'm thankfully on, instead of just give me a painkiller, give me an anti-inflammatory. That's going to actually address the problem, get the inflammation down, so that I'm not actually in pain. But then, like I said, it came time for removal. So I just naturally assumed, okay, the doctor who put it in is going to be the one to take it out. But when I was finally released from the hospital after putting the catheter in, they told me to check with my surgeons for removal. So like, okay, so I'll do that. I have an appointment coming up on December the 15th for post-op follow-up. And I talked to them and like, no, you need to talk to the doctor that put it in. Like, okay. So then when I finally got back home after that follow-up, I called them up and said, this is what they told me. And they're just like, oh, they were kind of dumbfounded almost, sort of. Like, well, but that makes sense though. You did the work to put the catheter in, so you should be the one to take it out, because a lot of other surgeons, for the most part, they don't want to touch and mess up somebody else's work.
Right.
And that makes perfect sense. So, but it took a little bit of back and forth. Like, oh, well, we need to reach out to your surgeons, and do you have their contact information? Like, yeah, here it is. And then they finally contacted me like, oh yeah, they did say that if we put it in, we should take it out. Yeah. You're not trusting when I told you that they told me.
Right.
But ultimately, yeah, the suprapubic catheter was just recently taken out on the 29th of December. And it was a whole lot easier to take it out than it was to put it in. Because taking it out was just, I didn't even have to go see the actual surgeon. The nurse could do it. All she did was squeeze a little, push a little something on the tube that was coming out of my belly. And then that released the balloon that was securing it in my bladder. And she just tugged a little bit, pulled it right out, gauze and bandage over it, and I was good. And I've been in, there was twice that I had to call the ER since I had my surgery due to overwhelming pain in the middle of the night.
Right.
It literally brought me to tears. It was so painful. But as of now, I'm recovering good. I don't have the catheter in anymore. I'm urinating fine. My bowels are still adjusting, and my bowel movements are so irregular. And I don't know if I'm going to have solid bowel movements, if I'm going to have running bowel movements, or if it's just going to be squishy, oozy liquid coming out or something. I don't know.
Ew.
But not to be graphic, but that's
Ooh.
something that you could possibly potentially expect. Post-recovery is your bowel movements going through a major adjustment. But other than that, I'm feeling good now. I'm dilating 3 times a day, 30 minutes each. Now, like one comment that Elaine had made earlier about urination, she said it just goes straight down.
Right.
Some girls get that, and some girls, it may take a while to where they can urinate like that. It just varies.
Yes.
Compared to me right now, again, not to be too graphic, but urine goes everywhere, all over my undercarriage.
Kind of like a white pattern spray.
Yeah, pretty much.
Before I get to you, Elaine, thank you, Angel. I want to let everybody know that is not in here, that is going to be watching the rebroadcast. Please, if you have questions, submit them to the ladies that have had the surgery. They will be glad to answer them for you. Don't let that stop you because, oh crap, I missed the meeting. Watch it. And if there's a question that I haven't asked the ladies or something, send them a message. And also, you may want to pick Allison's brain too, because like she said, she's a doctor and she's very smart about that. But my main advice to everybody is do your homework. Take the time to do the homework. Get the stuff done that you need. Follow your doctor's recommendations on the stuff that you need to get your surgery, get your hair removal, get all that done. And like Zandra says, Zadaran, be your own advocate. Ask the questions. Don't be scared. That's what they're there for. You are paying them for a service. Whether you're paying them by insurance or you're paying them out of pocket. Ask the questions. Don't let somebody start cutting in on your body and you're not completely sure about what the hell is going to happen to you. Elaine.
This is a question for all the other ladies that had their surgery and stuff. As you were healing and everything, did you notice that when you had to go to urinate, you might have had a little bit of feeling while you're sitting down, but when you stand up, all of a sudden gravity takes a hold? Because a lot of times it's like, okay, I kind of need to go to the restroom. Well, I stand up and it's like, oh, I really got to go because it's like gravity, whoosh, comes down. I mean, I just thought I'd ask the rest of the ladies that if that ever was happened to you, or if you had that sensation, because it's only been 12 weeks for me.
All right, who
Once
wants to
I got
answer?
through all these complications and got my body properly on the mend, once I sit down, I start urinating.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't stand up until I'm done.
Go ahead, Charlene.
I found it as much different, and when you've got to go, you better go.
Yeah.
You put it off. There've been a number of times I've gone to the store and think, I can make it. I get home and I've got to get inside as bad as is really bad. Guess what? I can't get the key into the lock.
That's because you're
It's running down your leg.
that's because you're 105 years old and it's harder
That's
for
true.
you.
But one of the things I was concerned about, I don't know if anybody else is, but a lot of people will travel quite a distance to another doctor to have them perform this. They're there 3 days, that kind of thing. One of the things I was concerned about, and they did emphasize to me too, for a period of time after I've been post-op, if I have any problems whatsoever, and I go to the emergency room at the University of Utah, first thing is tell them I have had this done. They will contact one of the doctors that's on call that handled this, knows what they're doing, and they will come in quite quickly and they'll take care of the problem. Because I've wondered, God, if your doctor is 400 or 500 miles away and you got a problem, you go into a hospital, some of these places have no idea what to do. So I don't know. Did any of you have any concerns like that?
That's sort of kind of what I did, what happened to me, Charlene,
Yeah.
because I live in the Dallas, Texas area. I actually live about 30 minutes north of Dallas in Flower Mountain, Texas. My surgeon that performed my bottom surgery is Houston, Texas, which is a good 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
When I had this post-op complication beginning 2 days after my surgery, I don't have time to drive 4 hours to my surgeon to have them look at something. I have to see the nearest doctor.
Right.
And so I went to Scott White Baylor Medical Center in Grapevine, Texas, which is 15, 20 minutes tops from my house. So it's
Let's
real
take
quick.
State Highway 121 North Grapevine.
I will give
So
everyone a heads up because
it was quick and easy for them to get me there, but yes, I was very adamant when I went in there, telling them, this is the problem I'm having right now, but to also make sure that they were aware
Right.
of what's ultimately causing that problem. It's a complication from the surgery that I just had.
I will give everyone a heads up too, because I never thought I'd ever see this. I've seen it twice now. Went into an emergency room. Has anyone here ever experienced going into an emergency room and being out in 45 minutes?
No.
I've done it. And I didn't think a thing about it. My son picked me up and he said, God, how did you do that so fast? I told him what went on. He said, you know what? You just ran into a doctor that did not want to treat you. They wanted you the hell out of there because they disagree with what you did and they think it's wrong and stuff. And I'm starting to learn that there are a lot of people in the medical community do not like people in the LGBT community. So don't be surprised if you run into somebody, they have no desire.
Those people should lose their licenses.
Exactly.
But you know what? They're smart enough. They do it in a way that they won't. They can cover their ass. This person didn't. And my son happens to know somebody very high at the university. And she ended up having this documented into her record and stuff. But it never dawned on me that there were people in the medical field. You've got a problem that being transgender would ever come into the equation for any reason, but it does.
Yeah, and some people you
That's
just
one of
can't
the
get
things
up.
about that thing that Trump did that was so concerning, that, EMTs, doctors, they just let you die and get away with it.
Basically, yeah.
Exactly.
It's
Okay,
essentially,
Allison. Go ahead.
Murder by proxy. Now, I would add on to the emergency room thing. Yes, you can have a long waiting time, but I would greatly encourage anyone who has a concern to just go. Because part of my recovery that I didn't mention is that I got the catheter out, I believe it was like March 5th, from my initial penile inversion vaginoplasty. And things did not look right down there. I was very concerned I had a serious infection going on because of yellowing. I later understand it was just wound slow, but I do not regret being put through what I went through the 6 hours I was at the emergency room for peace of mind.
Yeah.
So don't let long wait times be an inhibitor to you getting the medical services that you might need.
Oh, no, I meant
Absolutely.
I meant as fast as I did it. I have never in my life ever been in an emergency room and gotten out in less than 3 hours and stuff.
Yeah.
And another thing that everyone should be very aware of, you will get UTIs much easier. So be aware of it. Your urine starts to get cloudy. Take care of it because UTIs can do strange stuff to people.
Cranberry juice. Allison.
So I was going to say this is in mention to the whole gravity conversation when you guys were talking about urinating. So the reason that is, it's very common, is because you've retracted a good portion of your urethra out of that section, and they've resected it, and like now it's massively shorter and it's now inside your body. And I know that this is going to sound really, really graphical, but for educational purposes, as we would like this to be, when they remove that muscular tissue that's inside the shaft, a lot of that is kind of grounds for the mechanical working in the muscular part of your body for allowing you to hold it. That's why men can hold their urine a lot better than women can.
Right.
Ours is completely guided upon pelvic control and pelvitory floor muscles, and you have to condition those, just like all the ladies here who have had to go through some kind of PT to condition that pelvic floor and have to learn how to control that. But gravity plays such a big role in that. And some people are like, they're like, why do I pee like this? And like, now I will say that, some of us, like I've had a partial ORC, John. And I had it done in 2007, way before I even transitioned and began this journey. But I did it for medical reasons to I don't know how to say this, but like I have two kids, I have two teenagers, and I got done and had this discussion with my first ex-wife, and she was like, do we want to stop at 2? And we were still together at the time, and I'm like, I don't know, but like maybe. And she's like, I think we should stop at 2. We got a boy and a girl. Let's call the ball. So I made the appointment with the urologist and had the laser surgery done to have them snip everything. And when I went in and was talking with them, and the lady says to me, she's like, are you here for this? And I said, yeah. And she's like, well, do you have any questions? And I said, no, but I've got a couple other questions that are not really related to that, but they're part of this other type of surgery I've been doing reading on. And she said, well, what's that? And I said, well, has to do with an orchiectomy and doing the plumbing. And she was like, do you want those removed, or do you want just the plumbing removed? And I said, well, I want to do the laser surgery, but I want the plumbing removed too. And one of the byproducts of that is effect on the prostate. So despite the fact that I haven't had my vaginoplasty, going on HRT and going through this whole entire part of this transition over the last 4 years and being on these different medicines, which I love, I have that same sensation. I have a little bit more time than most people who have a vaginoplasty, but I find myself having to urinate. And when I have to go, it is exactly like what you say. You get in and you go. You do not wait. There's no contemplation. I've almost kicked this door down coming, and I park right there. I'm in a carport and I've had groceries in my hand, and like girlfriend is walking in behind me and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, move the fuck out of the way. I'm like, I gotta pee. And like, we've done all the smart stuff too. So like we've got a keypad on there and it's all on electronic lock and all that. And I just so happened that I yelled so loudly that it triggered the Google inside my house right behind me, and the door unlocked because I said it. So I got lucky without having to do it. The door opened, I ran in, I dropped everything on the floor. I was in the bathroom. She's like, babe, are you okay? And I'm like, I will be. You just got to give me a minute. But on Angel and Charlene's point with your surgeons and being farther away from your hospital and some of the care that you may observe, that is very, very much an awareness thing that all of us need to be advocates as women on here and talking about. Be aware of your surroundings when you have an emergency room visit. Notice the temperature and the color of the conversation when you're in those kinds of situations and you have to have medical care being done. Disclose and be as transparent. I cannot say this enough. Be fucking transparent. Do not worry about the judgment. You're not there for a judgment session. This is not going into a bar and letting them look at you because you have boobs and you have a vagina and whether you pass as a woman or not. Like, this is medical care. And if you feel like something's not right, that's where you've got to make that decision and change. Find another hospital, go somewhere else if you can medically, and then do it. But I'm blessed with my OBGYN and my endo doctor. It just so happens that through this wonderful forum of women here in Facebook and meeting people on here like Jody and Zarkon and Charlene and Angel, that I finally learned that Angel lives like, I think she only lives like 5 minutes down the road or 6 minutes down the road. She's literally on my back door. And I had no idea that this wonderful human lives so close to me. And
she lives 20 minutes from me.
Okay, so we all live next to one another. And I go to Plano for my doctor. Her name is Amy Wright. And I start talking about all these surgeons and different options and such like that. And her biggest concern that she's talked to me about going up to New York about is the fact that my surgeon is going to be in New York and I live here. That's an extensive amount of distance between somebody who performed it versus who can go and do the revision. And then I told her about my conversation and heart to heart that I had with Angel and how she went to Dr. Freet in Houston. And my doctor is now telling me, she's like, it's your decision. She goes, but if it was me and I was in your shoes, she's like, Dr. Freet's just as good as Dr. Rachel. She goes, they're both excellent surgeons. And she goes, cost is probably going to be a little bit less too. But, when it comes to aftercare and post-op and all of that stuff, you're going to want to feel a lot more comfortable picking somebody who's only 4 hours away versus 1,900 miles and a plane ticket. And so, I probably am going to end up choosing Dr. because of the overwhelming satisfactory response that I've gotten out of other transgender women who've done it. And, more importantly, kind of an inspiration to me, which is Angel, because,
Exactly.
it just resonates when somebody that's a friend of yours that lives as close as you are, who's going through this journey at the same time as you, it makes it so much more relatable. And that's not to say that because you guys all live in different states that it's not relatable to have you guys in my corner or I'm in your corner. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's just the reality changes
Yeah, when
When
you
you-
got somebody that close, yeah, I
when
get
you
it.
kind of realize that you're not alone. Like there's
Right.
another woman who lives 10 minutes away or 20 minutes away and another one that lives 30 minutes away,
And it's very important too to hear from other women how it went. That's the best recommendation you can get.
Yeah, post this
Exactly.
COVID crap, we need to do some kind of get up or meet up, or I'm gonna have to host something because I can do
I
all
don't go
that kind
back
of
to
stuff.
work till February,
Your host.
so I'm open to visitors.
Well,
Are
it's
we
funny
talking-
that,
I can't help
Okay.
it, Jody. I
I
can't
just
help
want-
this one.
I want to
can't
make
go
a
back.
comment real quick, and then Amy, or not, sorry, Raven. Yeah, I mean, Dr. Free is very, very good. I highly recommend him. I mean, yeah, there were some things that I probably would have done differently, that I would probably preferred to be different, but on the overall, he is a very good surgeon. He does know what he's doing. As well as being a plastic surgeon, he also does a lot of work within the transgender community to really make sure that we do have the affirming care that we need. So definitely recommend UT plastic surgeon.
okay, Raven and then whoever had their hand up after. Okay, Alice, Elaine. But before you two ask your questions, it's funny that you meant something like a get together. Miss Allison, you're gonna meet Jody in July. I will be at Angel's house in July. So if you want to come and meet me.
I'll be
you go.
there as well.
I'm having a 4th of July party, also a weenie marshmallow roast. I
have a question.
In front of my fire pit in my backyard.
If you're having that party, can I ask for a question for you, Angel?
Sure.
Can I DJ it?
Sure.
I have all the equipment.
I've got I've got a big, huge deck in my backyard.
Yeah,
attached
I've
to
got, all
the
the,
fire
I've
pit.
got professional DJ equipment because that's what I do on the side.
And
Great.
here's
So
the-
is it going to be a pussy party?
Oh my God. We're recording this. I swear I'm going to choke you. I'm going to choke you. Every bit of you. I'm going to choke the life out of you. I am going to choke the life out of you.
It's going to be an adult party,
If you,
and there
No,
will
I
be a
won't say
weenie
it.
roast, marshmallow roast.
Okay.
For the
Raven,
year of
please.
2022, I'm actually making it one of my goals to meet other transgender people in person, since my schedule is a lot less busy than last year. I live in the Clarksville, Tennessee area, so if that
Okay.
meets up with anyone else, just send me a message.
Okay. Go ahead, Raven. You've been waiting to ask your question. Go ahead, honey.
So, so I was kind of like add on to kind of like that whole gravity thing. Because for me, I've had where usually after I urinate in the beginning, I would actually urinate, and then typically like 1 minute later, or after I get done urinating, I would have to actually go and end up needing to go number 2 right after urinating, words like I didn't wait long enough due to the whole redoing all the muscles down there.
Okay.
But I know for myself, I don't think I really had too much of a problem with my urination because back in 2008, I actually had a partial orchiotomy due to the fact that I had testicular cancer. So they already removed one of my testes. So I kind of since 2008, I was already used to my muscles were kind of used to the way how the urination was due to the way they did the whole orchiotomy on me. And for myself, because of how I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and even though I flew to Austin, which to us make concerns for me for my surgeon is in Austin, Texas. I'm here in Phoenix. Luckily, I have a really good doctor in my own backyard. Unfortunately, they don't take my insurance, but I have the Meltzer Clinic with Dr. Meltzer and Dr. Lay right in my own backyard. And my surgeon actually told me that if I ever need a emergency, I can go to them and I can actually just submit the bill to my surgeon, and then she would help me out by paying the Meltzer Clinic, and then she would just go through my insurance and then settle up for whatever is my out-of-pocket costs.
Okay. Elaine, go ahead, honey. You're next.
Okay. Now, a lot of y'all don't know that I was actually originally planning going to Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore with a Dr. Devin O'Brien Kuhn, highly recommended surgeon and everything. Early, March of this year, I had I was supposed to have a consult call from him, phone interview consult, and we were going to actually try and do the surgery in June of this last year. Well, they called me a week before. I'm actually walking out of work. They called me a week before and said, we see on your records here that you were planning on a phone interview consult with Dr. Kuhn. And I said, yes. And she goes, oh, we don't do that anymore. You got to be here on Monday. It's Friday. So I would have to find a plane, hop on a plane and fly 3.5 hours up there to Baltimore. And for this, and I said, I can't do that. When is the next available consult? I'm thinking maybe a week or two later. No, the next available consult was November the 22nd.
Oh, wow.
And I went out to the car, cried, and immediately called American Institute of Plastic Surgery. I got a hold of a director, Laura, went up to her like a week or two later when I had my letters and everything, and had took her up, took the letters, all the paperwork I had to fill out and all that sort of stuff, and plus a cashier's check for $5,000. And she gave me, and that was March 29th. And she gave me a consult date of September the 1st. March to September the 9th was an absolute eternity. I mean, it just the wait, that 5-month wait period was absolutely just killing me. And then from September 1st to October 5th, which was the pre-op date, that was even longer. That 3 or 4 or 5 weeks or whatever, 6 weeks or something like that. That like to kill me too. And then the last week was pure terror. The what ifs were going on in my head. Of what if this happened? What if that happened? I mean, if I didn't have the surgery, I might not be here right now.
I got you.
I had to get rid of what was down there.
I got you. No, and I understand that. And I want to before we got a little bit of time left here. I wanted to thank you guys for sharing your story of your surgeries with the rest of the world that I'm going to broadcast this to. I think forums like this are very important. This is my little contribution to the LGBTQ community. I'm blessed when I got girls like you in my group, and it makes it so much easier to do this. And I'm just glad that you're all a part of this every Thursday, this madhouse that we call the Transgender Coalition. Also, with a few things coming up next week, you do not want to miss. You do not want to miss next Thursday. Our lovely Miss Angel is going to demonstrate makeup. Now, it's a 3-hour meeting. And here's the thing. Bring your weapons that you use on your face. Bring your favorite makeup. And you will have the time to follow Angel. If you need her to slow down, just tell her. Angel is going to do her face live like you guys do, so you guys could follow along. I think it would behoove you to, if you want to learn how to do it. And I think it would benefit all of us, to learn from Angel. So I trust her dearly to do something like this. So trust me, when we start talking about doing it, there's nobody I would rather have show you ladies how to do makeup is Angel. You'll have to delete Allison before you post. Okay.
Have to delete me? What?
Why do I have to delete Allison? I don't know. Somebody saying I have to delete you. I don't understand why. I'm not going to delete anybody. I don't think she's talking about you. Okay. Anyways. Huh?
I'm lost.
I don't know what the hell's going on. I think it was a missed message. You're fine, Allison. Don't worry about it. So anywho, with that being said, and then the following week, we are going to have Christine I don't know if you guys were here a couple of weeks ago or a month or two ago. We recorded the Transgender Coalition, and it went to Connecticut's transgender group. And the director of that is going to be here in the hot seat, getting
It's the 27th, Jody. You said
Yeah.
the 27th. We have him on the 27th. 2 weeks.
the 27th.
Yeah.
He's going to be in the hot seat, and trust me, Jody's going to let him have it.
He's the founder of Middletown, Connecticut's LGBTQI commission, which I've been appointed to. He'll explain the difference between that and any different pride community.
Yep.
That we have the muscle to do stuff through the city and the mayor and the common council and all that.
My daughter, what do you need?
Amanda.
I was just looking at the calendar. The 27th is 3 Thursdays from now.
Right. Thank you.
So what are we gonna? The 20th is gonna be open.
I think the 20th is going to be open, being that the next 3 are pretty much filled with somebody, unless we get somebody else in here, but that'll be great. But anyways, don't forget Sunday, go to Angel's group, Trans Talk After Dark. She's filling in for Cassie. She's filling in for Charlene. I mean, oh my gosh, Connie.
I'm not filling in for nobody. I'm running the show on Trans Talk After Dark.
Right, you're the HBIC over there. I got you. You're the
Yeah, Trans Talk
HBIC.
After Dark, 7 p.m. Central Time, which is 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Hawaiian.
Very good.
You're good.
Jody, I thought you said you hadn't had any wine.
The link will be posted in Trans Talk After Dark. It will also be posted in Transgender Coalition, as well as I posted in several other transgender support groups that I run and operate as well.
If anybody wants a copy of this, once I get them, once I get that it's been recorded and everything, I will post the link in your chats. If you're a friend of mine and just, I'll send you a message, you will have the link. It is going to go on YouTube as soon as it's available. And it's going to be in the Transgender Coalition public group and also in Trans Talk After Dark and Trans Talk and the Transgender Coalition. So you'll be able to see. Yes, Amanda.
Go ahead, finish.
No, I stopped to answer your question. I thought.
Okay,
Come on,
okay.
Amanda.
All the information that was posted, I was looking up the links and the information on like the Mayo Clinic and Ann Arbor, U of Michigan, John Hopkins, all these things everybody was talking about. I started throwing up. I've got URLs, stuff like that. I'm going to put on our public group. I just want to let everybody know if anybody has anything else that they can think that might help, send them to me right. If you wouldn't mind, it might help them.
Okay, a little bit of coalition business too. I want to take care of right now while I remember to do this. Y'all know that Angel is now the co-host of the coalition. She's paid her way and she's actually doing a great job. And I want to let you know that she is up there with Cassie as the lead admin. She does not, she just getting her promotion now. So congratulations.
Congrats, Angel.
You didn't tell me about that.
I didn't plan on telling you about it, but no, I was going to. But Angel, you've been amazing. You are now a lead admin. You do not have to go through me as far as removing people from the group or adding things to the group. You could treat it as your group as well, other than merging, but we're good. No.
Yeah, and by the
We're
way, the transgender calendar that I'm working on will be, I will be uploading that tomorrow. I've got one more picture from one of my trans men friends. He's got to go get his hair done first, and then he's gonna take pictures and send it to me, and then I will be putting kind of like you see the firemen and policemen calendars with the sexy men on it. I'm making a calendar of transgender people. So I've got just one more person I need a picture from, and then I will be uploading that. I put on just normal federal holidays. I've also researched several different holidays and dates that are pertinent within the transgender and overall LGBTQI++ community. So I've included those holidays and dates on the calendar as well. And that will, like I said, once he sends me his picture, I will be finishing up the calendar and have that uploaded tomorrow.
And y'all make sure you look at that sexy girl that's in November.
Check out the hot babe in August.
It's a real plus. Oh, and just to let you all know, and Allison, you might want it when you come to the party July 4th, you're going to notice this. There is a girl in this room. I'm not going to mention any names. She thinks she's going to turn me back into a lesbian. So we're going to try. Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted.
Oh,
I'm
trust
betting
me.
on her. I'm betting on her then.
I just in December, so I'd been dating a guy and a girl because I'm poly, and my girlfriend lives here with me, and the boy moved in May, and so we lived, all three of us together in our poly relationship, and I never realized how much the difference in behavior and I don't know, just everything about a person can be from online versus when you live with them.
Exactly.
And he lived here underneath my house for 7 months without a job. I found out he had bench warrants for his arrest back in New York that I didn't even know about. I paid for his legal fees to get that stuff cleared. His mother didn't even know about it. Her and I developed a friendship, and then she came down and found out all this information, that he had no job, wasn't contributing to the bills. These are all things in the poly relationship part of the communication that are required. Like, you set the precedent as equal adults that this is how you're going to contribute to the family. And he just didn't do it. And in December, through my girlfriend and I both, we sat him down in November, like on the 7th, and we said, you have 30 days to change this. And if you don't do anything and you don't change, December 7th, I hate to say this, you got to be the fuck out. Nothing
Right.
changed. December 1st, he moved. And he wasn't even man enough to like talk to me and sit down as a boyfriend and say, I don't think our relationship's working, nothing, da, 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 da. He just blocked me on everything social, removed me off of everything on Discord and anything that we were part of, stopped talking to me independently completely. And it moved on. And like, that stupid behavior, I'm telling you, it's one of the
Right.
reasons why I've started to realize that, I think quite possibly I'm going to be a lesbian and I'm going to like it because quite frankly,
Right.
I don't want to deal with that stupid boy shit.
Exactly. Well, guys, it's coming to the part of the program where you know what I do. Y'all should
You send
just,
that to me.
you guys should just own this and follow along with me. But I'm also going to say this to all the girls all the people that are going to be watching this. I hope that this information that we're about to post on YouTube and everything does help you. We're here to help you. If you don't believe that this coalition or Trans Talk After Dark is for the LGBTQ community, then honey, you ain't looked hard enough, because let me tell you something. When I started my transition, the only group I did go to was Trans Talk because they were the only ones there. And now there are there's 1,000 groups, but you will never, ever find two groups that are more loving, more welcoming, and more sincere than this group and Angels group, because we're here for you. And I like the difference in the formats that we have. Angels is more of like, we get to go in there, we get to let our hair down, we get to blow off some steam, whatever's on our mind. We do that once a month. Mine is a little bit more different. We're more structured. We do talk about things like this that get to be very sensitive and get to be very serious. And no subject is going to be, and I'm going to start 2022 with, there's not going to be a subject that we're going to be afraid to talk about. I think there's a lot of things in the transgender community that we have to talk about, that we need to talk about, because a lot of things that was promised to us hasn't been done. And I think it's time that the transgender community started rising up like the phoenix and start burning some people's asses. That's all that matters. But anyways, I love you guys, and I'm going to read this and then we're going to call it a night. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here for another great Thursday. You guys make my Thursdays amazing. I love my Thursdays. I love all of you. Again, Angel, congratulations on the promotion. You earned it, honey. You earned every bit of it. And I'm so proud to have you as one of the,
what I do, and I do my best.
I am so honored to have you as one of my top admins. And Charlene, you're the and if you guys ever want to ask somebody questions about with the age and everything, Charlene is the mentor of the group. She's been with me the longest, and she's been with me since the Transgender Coalition was born. So she's been with me ever since, and she's very special to me, and she'll never know what she means to me. And she does keep this girl straight, even though sometimes she just makes me go, blah, 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 blah. But anyways.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Joe. But
You're
you better
welcome.
warn everybody. You better warn everybody. The filters were removed and they never put them back.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Any of you girls ever need to talk to us, please don't be afraid to hit your admins up. That's what we're here for.
We have an open door, please.
Exactly. Please talk to us. Don't drive yourself crazy to where you don't think you have
That's what I'm
somebody to
here.
talk.
That's what we're all here for.
Yeah.
Just
That's what we're all here for.
Don't drive yourself crazy thinking that nobody will talk to you. I don't care what time of the evening it is. If it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you need to ring this phone, by all means, do it. Please do it. I will answer. I promise you. You can rest now.
Yeah.
You're exhausted. You've tried to protect me for way too long. I'll handle the stress of it now. It's going to require a lot of bravery to just live, just to try and live my life and hope that everyone sees that I'm not some sort of dangerous, bad person. And
I got this.
we
We
got
got
this.
this.
We got this.
That's right.
Exactly. Unzip yourselves from that guy that's been holding you down. Be the beautiful butterflies that you are. Fly, show your wings, spread your legs, spread your wings. Have fun doing everything. I love you guys. Good night. God bless, and we'll see you all next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.